Hello and good evening.
Good evening. Here we are.
Hello.
We are finally wrapping up the vampires until we start getting into the bloodlines and Clan Bali, Mighty as the Alibaba. We need to find the right time to do Bali. How about Christmas? We do the Clan Bali.
That sounds like a terrible idea, but we're going to do it anyway.
The irony behind it. And there it is. If you want to find out what's the cover of the song is, check out Russo's channel. He does a lot of cool classical stuff. So there it is. This is not our song. We have Enejaner with us for the first time on this show.
Hello, Jan.
So Enejaner is a subscriber on the. She is in the server. She plays on the Sunday game, and we had a wild emotional roller coaster today's session.
Do regale us if we have the time.
Let's see. And so here we are with today's episode, The Ventrue. Now, while I say that the Giovanni is my favorite vampire clan, and it's always going to be my favorite vampire clan, the Ventrue is objectively just the best clan. And Ryan, when you came to me, I don't remember what day of the week your game is when you play vampire, but when you came to me asking what clan do you want to play, I said Ventrue. You took me up on that, and how much fun are you having with that Ventrue?
He's fucking amazing.
Yeah, the power in your hands with the Ventrue, dude. It is.
He's a Generation 13 on the way to becoming a Primogen.
And there you go. There you go.
That's how Ventrue do.
There it is. Nobody rules like the Ventrue. If you want something done, you call in these guys. This is the smartest man in the room. This is the perfect encapsulation of a modern vampire. When you ask people, name a vampire movie, some of them will name Dracula. And sure, that's something along the lines of, say, a Toreador or Zimichi. But a lot of people I ask that question to will actually bring up Interview with a Vampire as the movie they think of when it comes to vampires. And that's the modern idea of a vampire. You want somebody who's in nice clothes, looks presentable, looks respectable, looks powerful, has a lot of money, a lot of influence, a lot of contacts. That's your modern day vampire. When you had Karl Marx describing vampires in the political sense, he's describing them the same way you would describe Clan Ventrue, an aristocrat with political connections. And this has shaped the modern idea of what a vampire is. And you see this with books like, say, smut romance like 50 Shades of Grey, that you want a dark billionaire as your boyfriend. And that is Clan Ventrue. If you want to be the sexy badass, you go for Clan Ventrue. And you are the most powerful man in the room until it comes to combat. But besides that, everything about you, it is big dick energy through and through with the Clan Ventrue. I really like it whenever I see a player character who is playing a Ventrue. If you want to win me over when we play a vampire game, you play a Ventrue. It's same like playing a Red Talon, where I get super giddy. I clap my big baby feet together whenever I see that happen. And we get to talk about them today. We saved the best vampire for last.
I was talking to Johnny before. Excuse me. Before we played the IRL game.
Yeah.
Or not not IRL, but the online.
Yes.
In that campaign before my character Sylvester Shrek,
yeah,
I realized later that I was just playing a Ventrue with blood sorcery and celerity.
Yeah. Ultimately, yeah.
It was. I like Sylvester anyway, so.
Yeah, you played him like a Ventrue anti-tribute, and he came out pretty well. Where this is what you do as Vampire Society. Now, something I hate is people shitting on meritocracy. I think this is a good way to run a society. If you want higher positions, if you want more money, if you want more attention, do a good job. It just makes sense, doesn't it? Prove that you're the person that should have the power. And that's the moniker. That's the moniker with Clan Ventrue. Do you want power? Prove to us we should give you this power.
You want it? Work for it.
Because compare it with, say, other Camarilla clans. The Bruja, there is no organization. Like First Edition said it, there is no organization. You just Bruja and that's it. Same with the Gangrel. The Nosferatu, it's more of a family unit. The Malkavians are the Malkavians. The Toreador, it's based off of how good you are as an artist, or a pissing contest as to how much money you have or how much art you have. And the Toreador who are in power stay in power forever. Same with the Tremere, where the Tremere had the pyramid. Those who are higher up in generation stay in power forever. The Ventrue, if you are low generation, you can work your way up to the position of a prince. You just need to prove that you can do the job, and you will get the job. And that's why I like so much about Clan Ventrue. It's
The first rule of Clan Ventrue: when Ventrue is in power, all Ventrue profit.
It also helps that their name is very similar to ventures and venture capitalist.
Yeah, it's totally not something that autocorrect will get you on every single time.
Absolutely, it's a pain in the ass to try to type about these guys.
Bit off topic, but I just came to a realization.
Yes.
Is crowdfunding just venture capitalism for poor people?
Yes.
Okay.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, you did tell it like it is.
Well, the difference is like you can actually make money as a venture capitalist.
Yeah, you don't get a return on investment doing Kickstarters.
Nope. There's no money to be made in charity, unless you're the one that's receiving the charity. All right, let's get on this history. This is a very interesting story. We finally get to find out who Ventrue the man was. Now, with Cain's relationship with the antediluvians, they tend to end really poorly, right? Yes. You saw what happened with Ravnos. You saw what happened with Salat. You know where his friendships tend to end. Now, this is the opposite case with Ventrue. Because Cain's looking at himself thinking, what have I been doing wrong? Why are so many of my relationships just ending? And with Ravnos, it's because you gave power to a vengeful teenage boy. With Salat, you let Salat out of your sight too often, and he made the Bali. Like, he's the reason why they exist. And with well, Hakim never wanted a relationship with you to begin with, so we don't need to count him. So how about we find out that the issue behind it is me? I'm the one who's embracing these guys, or directly ordering these embraces. I need to not do that. And how about I have my son pick my best friend for me? He goes over to King Enoch, the second generation, and says, Enoch, you got a man for me? Well, there's this man who's this really good politician. His name is Ventrue. Embrace him. Oh, okay, I'll do what you say, Dad. And he embraces Ventrue. And King Enoch takes Ventrue, dumps him off in front of Cain, and says, that's your friend forever now. Be his friend. And that's like the abridged version as to how that relationship starts. And Ventrue was born in death to be Cain's kiss ass, and that is exactly what he was throughout his life. He was Cain's kiss ass. Whatever Cain said, it was yes, Cain. If Cain did something that Ventrue disagreed with, it was, of course, Cain, I will do exactly as you say. There was no when it came to Cain.
Basically, it was yes man from Fallout New Vegas. That was probably pretty dumb, huh?
But I appreciate the work. You did a great job, Cain. That's what it was.
Hey, like, it's not my fault. I can't say no.
Ventrue tell.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Though Gehenna isn't real. They'll tell you that's not real though. But Cain is real.
So remember, history is very important, especially when we are the writers of it.
Yeah, exactly. You want to talk about history? The Ventrue are the guys who write the history. Just anything involving human history, they're behind. But Ventrue does do a good job. He's an architect, politically and when it comes to buildings. He makes the buildings. He helps Cain build the first city, and he does such a great job at it that Cain keeps him around. And we found out that it didn't work out with Salat. Now Salat's off by himself with Samael of all people, and whenever Cain has the thought, he shares it with Ventrue, and he becomes Cain's echo chamber, so to speak. And one night, Ventrue comes in, checks in on Cain, and Cain says, I had a vision. Well, what's the vision? The children of Cain will survive a great cataclysm, and the children of Seth will suffer. And those children of Seth will rise up against us and kill every last one of us. Is there a way to prevent this from happening, Cain? I don't know. And that bothers Ventrue. Ventrue goes back. He says that a bunch of women came to sleep with Ventrue that night. He sent them all home. A bunch of people came to show him his like their plans for the city. He turned them away, and for 23 days, Ventrue is just staring at the ceiling in his bed, just thinking about what Kane said. And come the end of the 23rd night, he sits up in bed and says, "I got it. I know what to do. I'm gonna come up with a plan to prevent Gehenna from happening. That's what we're going to call this event. We're going to call it Gehenna. I will be the one to stop it. And I don't know how I'm going to do it yet, but I'll be the one to stop it. And if I'm not around to stop it, then it will be my children who stop it." And that's what Ventrue decides to do. He becomes a doomsday prepper alongside being Kane's architect in Echo Chamber. And while he's writing his Gehenna prevention plans, he is out collecting money, artifacts, magic items. He's a hoarder. He's looking for treasure. He's keeping the treasure in a vault. And we get a little skit that happens in this book. We also get soft confirmation in this book that, yes, Bruja was a woman. So what I say about Bruja being ambiguous in Bruja's own book, the Ventrues say that Bruja was a woman. And that's what I agree with. I like the idea of Bruja being a chick. Because what we have 3 faces of Eve in that case, and you know how much I like that trope.
Yeah.
So what happens is that Bruja, Set, the Eldest, and Absimilliard all corner Ventrue. Uh-oh. And Bruja looks and says, "Well, Bruja, we're noticing that you're collecting a lot of stuff, and we want a piece of it." And Ventrue says, "Well, no, you can't have this stuff. I'm preventing it from being trampled upon by mortals." And Set says, "Well, wouldn't it make sense for these to be out in the open and our possession for mortals to see and enjoy?" And he tells Set, "Well, the average sheeple can't enjoy the kind of stuff that I enjoy. This can only be appreciated by me." And the Eldest just calls him out on his bullshit, saying, You say that, but you claim that you love humanity, you claim that you're doing your best to help humanity, when really you're only ever helping yourself." And which is like big coming from the Eldest, right? and then Ventrue looks and realizes, "Oh shit, I think these 4 guys hate me." And he looks over at Absimilliard, and Absimilliard gives him this smirk, like the kind of smirk that says, "I'll see you soon." And then he turns around and leaves, and then everyone else leaves with him. And then Ventrue shuts the door behind him and says, "Oh, I messed up. I fucked up royally." And he spends the rest of his life looking over his shoulder because now 4 clans hate his clan's guts. And you notice that in the future, the Bruja, the Nosferatu, the Setites, and the Zimichi all have massive issues with the Ventrue. Because you remember reading through their relationships. How much do the Setites like the Ventrue again?
Not all that much.
Not at all.
Not all
They
that
say
much.
that they call them snakes and that they're leading humanity astray. Well, that's rich coming from the Setites.
Bro, that's literally your job. You can't say somebody's better at your job than you.
Yeah, I think the Setites are projecting here.
A little bit.
And then lastly, what happens is that La Sombra. You remember La Sombra, right? How much La Sombra sucks? Where anything that La Sombra thinks he can do, Ventrue can do better. Where La Sombra wants to be the architect, I want to be the one getting Kane's attention, and he gets none of it. And instead, what La Sombra does is that he just goes off into the Mediterranean Ocean and makes pacts with demons and comes up as a sea monster, dragging ships into the ground. And he's stewing about Ventrue and his success. The Eldest goes over to La Sombra and says, "Hey, you know what? That Ventrue guy kind of sucks. I see things your way now. In case you ever want to kill Ventrue and he becomes vulnerable, I'll let you know." And La Sombra says, "I'll take you up on that when that happens." And eventually, the point in the story comes where the Great Deluge happens, and after that happens, Kane leaves. And while Kane is about to leave, Ventrue is the last person to ever see Kane. Besides Kane coming back and gaining revenge for 2nd generation. He looks over at Kane and says, "Are you seriously leaving? I mean, Kane, what do I do? I was made to serve you. What am I going to do when you're gone?" And Kane looks at Ventrue, and he says, like the first time in millennia, Kane smiles at Ventrue and says to Ventrue, I am passing the job of leading vampire society and human society to you. I'm off on a greater calling. There's something I've got to do that nobody else can do. All of this falls on your shoulders, and I know you can do it. If there is somebody that can help humanity and help vampires at the same time, it's you. And with that, he shakes hands with Ventrue for the last time and leaves. And compare that to the heart-rending goodbye that he had with Solot. He actually had a nice goodbye with Ventrue. And Ventrue turns around and says, "Okay, I'll do it. I'll make you proud, Kane." And after the Great Deluge ends, he builds a second city with Enoch, and everything is going well until Ventrue has a moment of weakness. He can't wait for Kane anymore. He needs to see Kane again. It just doesn't feel right that the man he was made for isn't in his life. So Ventrue gets up and goes out to look for Kane. The minute he leaves the second city, the eldest, and with his eyes almost literally everywhere, goes over to La Sombra and says, "Hey, just letting you know, Ventrue left the second city. Where is he?" He's over there, and La Sombra drags himself out of the ocean and starts crawling, making a beeline straight for Ventrue, where he finally corners Ventrue and murders him violently in the street. There was no body left behind of Ventrue when La Sombra's finally done. And when La Sombra finishes, he crawls back into the ocean and stays there. Great. It's almost like a repeat of the Cain and Abel story, right?
Yeah,
Where,
it is.
I don't know, La Sombra, you could have, not been a fucking weirdo and actually have done something, but instead of rising to your ideal in Ventrue, you destroy your ideal and then go off and stew in the ocean. That's
He's
how
quite
you want to be
literally
remembered.
stewing, given he's at the base of the Mariana Trench.
That's why you, La Sombra, will never accomplish anything, because this is who your father is. This is your gene father.
We did have the one, but he's not an official lore character, though he should be.
Though, now that Ventrue's dead, the Kiss Ass is dead, Malkav, Arakel, Bruja, and Absimilliard look at what just happened and see this as their sign to start attacking the second generation. So the four of them get up and then kill the second gen. Kane comes back, grabs Absimilliard while everyone else runs away, turns Absimilliard into the waste of flesh that he is today, and then goes off into exile again as part of the ongoing meta plot between him and Lilith. And then that's where Ventrue's story really ends. Or the La Sombra are lying, and the La Sombra didn't kill Ventrue, because after all, how trustworthy are the La Sombra? That's the difference between
there are other tales that it was Bruja who killed Ventrue.
Where imagine how cool of a fight that would be. Like seeing Ilyes fight is such a cool idea. But
honestly,
and
the unmovable wall against a very fast and very strong cannonball.
Yep.
Yeah, you pull up the whole standing hero. I realize
immovable object.
right in punching Cinder Armstrong's abs.
Basically, yep.
You play that double speed. That's what the fight looks like. And there's also the idea that Ventrue faked his death, and La Sombra is just incompetent. You want to tell me La Sombra's an idiot? And he's actually hiding somewhere in an undisclosed location, secretly leading the Ventrue to greatness. And that could be possible, because after all, the Ventrue have Dominate, and can use Dominate like no other. And who's to say that Ventrue didn't use a great version of Dominate that just memory hold everyone to forget his existence? Because after all, you want to talk about the Illuminati. Now, Ventrue is the Illuminati, and he does like no other. This man is a genius. This man's an evil genius. You realize with the Ventrue too, a lot of their lore characters are evil geniuses at the end of the day. Well,
of course. There's not a better type.
Yeah, what's more dangerous, a villain that's strong or a villain that's smart?
The smart villain, obviously.
Yeah, the smart villain.
Both.
Exactly. Strong and smart.
Yes.
You get a Ventrue who learns potence. Now, what happens next? Now that Ventrue is supposedly dead, the Ventrue eventually leave the second city because no, daddy's dead. We gotta go find something else to do. We talk about Artemis, not the goddess, but she pretends to be, much to the ire of the Black Furies, and she goes into what would be, I think I'm getting it right. Peloponnesia is what Greece was called before it was called Greece. I think that's right.
I think so, yeah.
And she sits down and starts establishing Sparta. She decides that this is the city I want, while all these other cities are struggling and wasting day hours with farming. We're going to have all of our serfs and slaves do the farming, while the upper class perfects the thing that I care about the most: warfare. And there we go. We get Sparta. How cool was Sparta? How cool of a place was this?
They were cool, but authoritarian.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yes, but sometimes you need a strong fist on things.
You need a big man. That was an entire city-state of big men. And you ever watched 300? Just how cool of a movie 300 was?
I did, but I also watched
Yes.
Meet the Spartans. High fives for the women and open mouth tongue kisses for the men.
If you want to watch what?
Let's not discount Artemis, but remember, this was the first instance of Clan Ventrue deciding to stick the horse to mortals.
Yeah,
exactly. This was not Artemis's dream to create Sparta. She just helped it come to fruition. Yeah,
because after all, she said, we'll have the humans do the fighting while the Ventrue control it. We're going to make these badass humans, and they'll fight these wars for us, and then we get the profit from it. Aha. You notice how few Ventrue actually fight on the front lines? Just how few of them because what was the saying I was told? It was a manager I had that told me something that I thought was stupid, because I fundamentally disagree with this. If you're not delegating tasks, you're not leading and you're not managing. When I fundamentally disagree with this, I think a leader needs to be with the people, working with the people. But if you have multiple tasks and you can't be there for every task, I see the Ventrue argument. Because if the Ventrue are in the middle of the fight, they can't manage everything going on at the same time. The Ventrue themselves say, we don't want full control over everything, because we know that there's people out there that can do a few things better than us. We're humble enough to say that. We can't win a fist fight like the Bruja can. We can't collect information like the Nosferatu can. We can't see the future. We can't shoot fireballs out of our hands. We need other clans to help us, but we'll be the architects who tell the clans what to do, because we know how to get the most out of those clans, while they might not. They don't recognize their own potential. We do. That's the Ventrue argument. And exactly, we didn't know that Sparta was going to turn out like this, but it turned out like this, and then we perfected Sparta. We made it better, we made it the best place. We found Corinth. We walked over to Corinth and we found a guy, and behold, it turns out he's a Ventrue too. Now we have two Ventrue ruling this area. And we have territory all the way from Kythera in the south, all the way up to, how do you say this, Kromnos in the north. And we're going to keep expanding our land. We're going to keep expanding. And oh, who are you? The Bruja. You going to go to war with us? No. Are we going to have to go to war with you? Are you going to go to war with us? No. Okay, well, we don't really like each other. You might have killed Ventrue. Who's out to the south? The Persians? Truce. We're not going to... Let's agree to not kill each other until we handle Persia. And thus, did you ever watch 300? Because that's what happens.
Yep.
That movie was backed with Ventrue money.
Yeah, it was. Like, you know what? We need some propaganda.
It's true.
Yeah, Sparta was great.
Even though 300 was based more on the comic than on the actual Battle of Thermopylae.
Yeah, that is a
the Battle of
badass movie,
Thermopylae, though, was far more ridiculous than the movie even let on.
Let's see, the Battle of yeah, you were saying?
Yes, there isn't when Persia started to invade and they started to come in, Sparta believed that they had angered the gods because they had killed the Persian messenger who had come to ask for tribute from Sparta. So to rectify this affront to the gods, they decided to send a messenger of their own, specifically so King Xerxes could execute them. Unfortunately, all of those soldiers of Sparta thought they should be the ones who should do it because only they are the most worthy to be sacrificed to the gods. And after a bunch of fighting involved to find out who was going to be the one who did this, they ended up sending 2. To which, when they arrived, King Xerxes went, "No, I'm not going to do that. Go away."
You also look at the death toll between the two too, where losses from Sparta to Persia was 1 Spartan death for every 5 Persian deaths.
It's kind of fucking nuts.
There we go. There, 4,000 dead to 20,000 dead in that fight. There we go.
That's a fucking embarrassing defeat.
You want to talk about some badass?
You have to realize it's more strategy than it is. Like, not to say the Spartans weren't more skilled soldiers. They were, but they were in a place where the Persians' numbers did not mean anything because there could only be 15 people standing across for the line that they were standing.
Yes.
And they all were there knowing they were going to die. They knew that Persia already knew how to get behind their army. They just knew it was going to take them several days to do so. Yeah. So it's less of a tale of Spartans being awesome soldiers, which they are. That's not disputable, but more just the sheer suicidal bravery of the Spartans, because every man who was at that pass knew they were going to die, because it was only a matter of time before the Persian soldiers made their way through the mountain pass and to get behind them, and then they would be surrounded. They knew that.
Like, stories of valor like that are so inspiring. Like even though it ends with the heroes dying, so to speak, it's like knowing that you went down with your head up in that fight.
You died for something.
It was all to give
the
rest. It was all to get the rest of the league time to prepare for the Persian invasion, and it gave them time to prepare. And then Persia was fought back.
And when it was finally fought back, the Ventrue looked and said, "All right, we're done. We're done. The Persians are gone. Just the hands off." I didn't really see the Bruja doing all that much. Did you? No. Hey guys from Corinth, what do you think? We just did an audit on ourselves and we checked out what's going on with Athens. Bad news, boss. They got more money than us. What? And I look over at Athens, and as it turns out, the Bruja took the idea of the city-state and perfected it. You had Athens. Everyone wants to live in Athens. Athens is the place to be. And the Bruja are getting all this influence, and the Ventrue hate that. They're looking over at Athens, and they're saying, we just handled Persia. You saw how good of a job we just did with Persia. We're going to do the same to you. And while they're preparing for war, the Shadow Lords would come into the story. You remember with the Shadow Lords episode, they checked out Athens. They said, what's going on here? Pretty cool. What's down south? Ooh, the Spartans. And they run over down and check out the Ventrue and say, "Hey, you're vampires?" "Yeah." "I don't care. I like you. Come here. We're friends. We're friends. Come here, Ventrue. We're friends. We're going to stay friends forever. And this is going to be the start of something beautiful." And the Ventrue are just like shuddering the entire time, thinking,
sounds
sure,
sketchy as fuck.
Yeah, sure thing, Shadow Lords. We're buddies, right? Hey, can you please help me out here?
The blood was thicker back then. They had the Ventrue had a bit more backbone, like mostly because they knew they could take a couple werewolf swipes to the face and be fine.
Because at the time, the discipline to invest in was fortitude. That's what you pumped all of your blood points into, and you were able to, with the perspective of fortitude, you would get stabbed in the chest with a sword, and that sword would shatter upon impact with you. That's the level of fortitude that they would have.
Or someone punched you with their fist, and their fist shatters.
Yeah, that you hear a pop, and their elbow dislocates after that.
Yeah, it's like Deadpool punching Colossus.
It ain't going to go your way. And, well, but that turns out that battle with Athens never happened because all the Bruja's civilians died of disease, and the Bruja lost their ability to feed. So the Bruja just left an empty Athens, and the Ventrue just walk right in, take Athens, and behold, war was ended with no casualties. Wonderful. The Bali had nothing to do with that.
See, I thought that was like part of the Polonian War, where was like, the Spartans, raised all the grain around Athens. They crowded the cities and starved to death.
See, that you fight smarter, not harder. That's how you do it. But the book says it was
we're
disease
telling
for the most
this
part.
from the Ventrue point of view,
Yeah,
not the Bruja. They don't know history.
So, we starved. We starved. I think it would have sounded better if you died of disease instead of died of starvation. That implies mismanagement on the Bruja's part. It makes you sound like a bunch of idiots, Bruja. And well, things are good in Greece. You have Greece civilization, and the Ventrue control everything. Who's that over there? Is that another Ventrue? And then the Ventrue come over, and behold, we're the Roman Ventrue. Oh, we're the Greek Ventrue. You got slaves? Yeah, we got slaves. You got land? We got land. Well, man, you got more land than me. You want to combine resources? Sure. And it wasn't so much that Rome invaded Greece so much as Greece willingly surrendered everything they had to Rome, and they had like a invasion that was more of a show than an actual invasion. And now you have two Ventrue communities working together, and it controls the world. We can't really express just how much influence Rome has had on the modern world. Just everything we have today, like we have, and thanks to the Romans, because you look at just how civilization of Rome, and it was insane, right?
Yep.
Because let me type in Roman inventions. Let me get the stuff that Rome invented.
What have the
We got
Romans
the
ever done for
newspaper,
us?
the road, concrete, numbers, letters, bound books, medical tools, sewer systems, the postal service, a welfare system, how to build an arch, and sewer, the aqueducts, basic sanitation, heaters, glass blowing. All this stuff exists because of Rome.
Now, I do love Rome.
Yeah.
I would just like to say, we did have a bit of a loss of knowledge after their collapse, and we did have to reinvent a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, because a lot of this stuff we had to figure it out again, because I don't know, the catastrophic job that Nero did. And
Also, the steam engine, actually. The Romans invented the steam engine. They never used it for anything much like in the Industrial Revolution, because they didn't see the application of it. But the steam engine was invented in Rome.
We have an engine that runs on water. Oh, forget that. Let's just keep using wood.
Yeah, it was not. It was more of a frivolity than actual something of use. But
yeah,
it is something that they made.
They made it, and this would be like the bedrock of modern day Western civilization. And behold, you have so much good stuff here. But hold on, man. There's someone else that's already in Rome. Who are you? The Toreador? Do we have a reason to hate them? No. Show us what you got. I have plays, I have art, I have music. We love you. We're best friends. And you want to talk about relationships? We'll talk about them later, but the Ventrue and Toreador are inseparable in Vampire. Wherever there's
best friends.
Yeah, wherever there was a Toreador, there's a Ventrue right next to them, and vice versa. You look at the relationships with leadership, and everyone hates the Silverfangs. Nobody likes the Silverfangs. And everyone hates the She in Changeling, but nobody can deny what good the She can do. With the Ventrue, a lot of people shit on and hate the Ventrue, but the Toreador don't have a single bad thing to say about them. They're the only people that unconditionally like the Ventrue. And the Ventrue, like the Toreador in equal measure, they see them as idiots sometimes, but they're their idiots. And it's perfect. That's something I also recommend for any vampire game. If you have a player that's playing a Ventrue or a Toreador, add another Toreador or Ventrue onto that.
Yes.
Just
give them
it's why most cities are run by Ventrue. The second most common cities to be run are by the Toreador. And in that league, anytime you have a Toreador reprint, you can almost be certain their Seneschal is going to be of Clan Ventrue.
It's that scene from Batman. You're my number one guy. It's exactly that. In your Saturday game, Ryan, is there a Toreador player?
No.
What?
There's La Sombra, because we're playing Anarch game.
Oh, okay, that explains it.
My character is a Camarilla posing as an Anarch to no.
Yeah. Well, shit.
Yeah.
Well, the man a character dies, get to play a Toreador. And
We do
it,
love Clan Toreador.
everything is good in Rome. And oh, what's that to the south? Is that Carthage? Is that the Bruja again? It's the fucking Bruja are back with a new civilization in Africa. They're across the ocean. Leave them alone. It doesn't matter. They're across the Mediterranean Sea. Leave them alone. It doesn't matter. They're going to create a navy, or they're going to go to naval war with us? No, that's not going to happen. Let's just keep enjoying ourselves. Is there someone else at our door? Who else is that? Oh, who are you? We're the Malkavians. Okay, what can you do for us? We can see the future, and we can see the past, and we can read minds. Okay, you want a job? Yeah, we want jobs. Okay, you're hired. Come in. And behold, they bring in the Malkavians, and the Malkavians say, hey, there's stuff going on in Carthage, right? Like what? Like what Bruja stuff? Well, they're sacrificing humans. Okay, a little sketchy. And they're making themselves out to be gods. Okay, well, we kind of did the same with Artemis. And they're working with Clan Bali. What? Okay, now we got to get an offensive going on here.
Yeah,
so
you should have led with the flesh pits.
Yeah, you should have led with the Bali first.
Yeah, probably.
And upon not only that, but infernalist Assamites are also working with Carthage. And that's a big issue right there. So the Ventrue make a call. They say, we need to start making a strong navy. We need strong men. We need strong soldiers. We need to go to war with Carthage. They're going to kill us all if we don't do anything about this. And while they're getting this team together, this A-team together, look over. Oh, someone else is at the door. Okay, who's this? Oh, why are you covered in body hair for? Oh, we're the gangrel. Okay, what do? We turn into wolves, tigers, and bears. Okay. You guys want a job? Sure. Okay, let's just get you signed the contract. Okay, this is how much we're going to pay you. Okay, you got the job. All right, go out and fight with us. And behold, we got another group in on Rome. And unknown to the Ventrue, the Nosferatu are living in our sewers. They don't know the Nosferatu are there. The Nosferatu are pretending to be Malkavians if anyone's caught on to them. And they're passing on anonymous tips and info and spy reports off to the Ventrue. And the Ventrue are collecting information. And you notice we just formed a proto-Camarilla here, where all 5 of those clans would eventually make up the Camarilla. Granted,
you're missing one, but
and the Tremere did not exist yet.
Shame.
And eventually, well, also like something I liked seeing that second edition had, Arakel was awake during this time, and she was involved in this operation. The god queen of the Toreador was involved in Rome. Just anytime I hear about the Antediluvians walking around, it makes me super happy to read that. But I digress. Eventually comes the fall of Carthage. The Romans eventually decide it's time to stop running in the military-industrial complex. There's money to be made in war, but we're keeping this war with Carthage going on for too long. And what year did Carthage fall? It fell in, what was this? 146 BC. That's when it fell.
After
The
Scipio
Ventrue gets
decided to fuck it up.
Yeah, they get together this big A-team. They go in, and Troil is alive. Moloch is moving around in Carthage. And these 5 clans win this war against Bruja elders, Bali, and Infernal Assamites. And it's incredible. But they did have a little help, though. Because as it turns out, while Troil pops out of his base, and he's about to go and fight the Ventrue, then the Assamites jump in from the top rope and slam down on Troil with their blood magic, setting up Ventrue for the kill. And there it is. And then the Assamites immediately dip after the fight's done.
And they salt the earth so that they will never rise again.
They did. They took Moloch and Troil, they carved them up into pieces, scattered their bodies across Carthage, anointed them in holy salt, burnt Carthage down to the ground with them buried underneath it.
Salt the earth. We want nothing to grow here. And also nothing to come out of it.
And supposedly neither of them will ever come back.
Supposedly.
And unless you get Mage Ascension involved, because Mage can just retcon everything, I guess. And Weak times breed weak men. The Roman Ventrue are doing quite well for themselves. See, let's start spreading out. Let's go to Egypt. Let's play with the Gauls. Let's go over to England and start messing with the Gefenris. We pissed off the werewolves. I think we need to send more people over to Germany. And while they're playing around trying to conquer the world, Christianity slips right under their noses. It goes right by them, just whoosh right past them. And they say, "Oh, what's this? A bunch of guys worshiping Jesus? What's his deal? A bunch of Jews killed him because he said he was the son of God, and they took him seriously. We don't need to worry about that." And it's not until Emperor Constantine comes in and declares Christianity to be the main religion of the Roman Empire that, oh no, we slept on this a little bit too long. Well, that's okay. I mean, after all, we control Rome. We can just control the church. Who are you? We're the Sombra. What are you doing in my church? We control it now. Get out of my church! And he start going into war with the Sombra, but the Sombra comes strapped with the Zimici and chase the other 5 clans out of the church. And, well, we can't go to war with them anymore because it's going to breach the masquerade. Well, crap. We just lost the church to the Sombra. Well,
For the most part.
we can still bounce around this. We can just discredit Christianity. Oh, wait, no, it's only making people believe in it more because we're trying to shut them up. We'll just boost the idea of pagan belief. Oh, no, people are actually denying paganism. It's part of Christianity that you're supposed to do missionary work and spread the good news. Okay, crap, what do we do? Emperor Constantine just moved the capital, and now our entire empire just split? What happened? What? And they're looking around at their crappy leadership, and like you have guys like Caligula and Nero representing the Ventrue. Nero does such a bad job that the Ventrue disavow him. They say he was controlled by the La Sombra, that the Ventrue had nothing to do with it because the Ventrue just apparently dropped the bomb so hard that they had to lie about Nero because he was just so embarrassing. And crap. Well, there goes the Empire, and there goes our lives as the Gefenris finally get pissed off at us enough to come running at us with the Shadow Lords, and now we have no Empire. Well, at least the Shadow Lords saved us and moved us to another location, but the Gefenris who got our hands on us killed us. Great. Now we have no Roman Empire, and the Byzantine Empire would not last that much longer. Great. And thus begins the Dark Ages. And the Ventrue coined the term Dark Ages because this was the period of time that they did not rule. That's why they call it that. When the Ventrue are not ruling something, everything is dark.
Well, yeah, because then the Sombra are ruling it.
Exactly, and well, it's a pun because they have darkness powers. and while the Sombra are making everything worse, the Ventrue regroup with the Toreador and the Malkavians and are thinking, we got to find a way to bounce back from this. What's going on down there? This Tremere guy? Oh, he's shooting fireballs out of his hands. Ooh. Does anyone have Tremere's number? How do we get in contact with this guy? And while the Ventrue are trying to figure out how to get in the good graces of the Tremere, the La Sombra and the Zimici kill a certain guy called Saint Leopold, and now he's become a martyr, and now we have the Inquisition. Great. The event that almost causes vampires to go extinct. You know that whole Gehenna scenario that Cain and Ventrue were trying to prevent? That scenario is here now. It's not the way you thought it was going to go, but now it's here. And the Ventrue are thinking, oh shit, oh fuck, how do we do this? Well, the Saint Leopold turns around and purges all the La Sombra out of the Catholic Church. Okay, good. The Ventrue quickly fill that void, run into the Church of Saint Leopold, quickly dominate and bloodbind the leaders, and get the Saint Leopold hunters to hunt everyone who isn't a Ventrue, Toreador, or Malkavian, while everyone else suffers. And and they think this is fine. We can just ride out the Inquisition. We can get the Inquisitors to just kill all these other clans, and it'll just be us 3 that control the world. And everything will be fine. Everything will be just fine. And what happens in 1313? Certain
Inquisition?
Certain revolt.
Oh yeah, the
Anarch revolt.
A certain anarch revolt.
The Brujah go up to the Gangrel and go, "Hey, Gangrel, are you sick of those bastards up there telling you what to do? Well, yeah, we're sick of everybody telling us what to do. You want to go kill them and do our own thing? Yeah, sure. Why not?
And on top of that, if that's not enough, both the La Sombra and the Zamichi break their bloodbinds. And now they have no bosses. And now we have La Sombra and Zamichi just running around in the woods doing whatever the hell they want with no consequence. These are the power.
What a time to be alive.
So the Ventrue look at the St. Leopold's and they up their resources. They get more funding, they get better weapons, and now they're going around with holy fire, smiting anybody who they believe is a vampire. And shit. Well, St. Leopold just became too hot to handle. We gotta step away from that. And they're thinking, we gotta come up with a plan fast. We gotta create something fast. And a guy called Hardstadt the Eldest rises up and says, I have a solution. Well, what is it, Hardstadt? We need to be like Rome again. We can't just be our clan. We can't just be 3 clans. We need more clans. We need to get as many clans as possible to all band together. And we're going to form a group called the Back Scratchers. The Back Scratchers, that sounds a little gay, don't it? We'll use the Latin version. We'll call it the Camarilla. Oh, that's exotic. We like the name Camarilla. Because that's what Camarilla directly translates to. It translates to back scratchers.
That's kind of
You
fucking
scratch my
dumb.
back, I'll scratch yours.
You scratch my nuts, I'll scratch mine. And that's how it works.
Didn't fucking Jonah Hill make a joke about that in yeah.
And what happens next?
What if my back isn't itchy?
If your back isn't itchy, we'll make it itchy.
Scratched regardless.
Yes.
We will still scratch it.
It'll still feel good.
So it takes them a few years before they finally get to the Convention of Thorns. But Convention of Thorns, on October 23rd, 1493, the Convention of Thorns is called into session. And who is in attendance? Well, funny enough, they invited the Anarchs to be a part of this because they want to specifically denounce and indict the Anarchs and call them idiots in front of Vampire Society. That's why they invited them there. They invited Micah Vikos just to call him stupid and make an ass out of him. And there's a section in here where it's canon that in frustration, Micah Vikos ripped off his penis and then slapped Hardstadt in the face with it and then put it back on his body. That's in the book. I'm not making that shit up. That's in the book.
That is something that happened, yes.
Yeah. And so, yeah, you got all these different clans over to the Convention of Thorns. I was chosen for the Constitutional Convention. We have a new English delegate. Now, what I'm going to say may sound indelicate. Goes on and proposes his own form of government, his own plan, 7 clans of government. He talks for 6 hours. The convention is listless. What a bright young man. Yo, who the fuck is this? And you have the Convention of Thorns that goes on for 6 days, and it ends with Micah Vikos facing final death. Or at least I think he faces final death here. And where Micah Vikos is finally sick of getting dunked on. So he tries to kill Hardstadt, and he instead gets staked in the chest and, well, escapes and rebrands himself as Sasha Vikos. So he's not dead. Okay, I got his name. I thought he was Simeon for a minute. No, Micah Vikos was the original name of Sasha Vikos. Okay, my mind was going somewhere for a minute. Retraction, there we go. And now Sasha Vikos is like the main villain of Vampire the Masquerade, so to speak. Or the hero if you're a Sabbat sympathizer like me. The Sabbat know what they're talking about. The Sabbat know what they're doing.
They know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're doing.
Yes. Our organization, just fight the jihad. Just go fight the war. We don't care how you do it as long as you kill somebody.
Oh, yeah.
I can do, boss. And in response to how much the Anarchs were just dunked on the entire Convention of Thorns and forced to sign a non-aggression pact that entirely favored the Camarilla, some Anarchs quit the Anarchs and formed the Sabbat, starting with Sasha Vikos. And now we have the worst vampires because of that. But besides that, who signed on with the Convention of Thorns? Well, it went like this. The Ventrue came up and said, we're going to start this club, the Camarilla. It's going to be us, the Toreador, and the Malkavians. Who else wants to be a part of this? The Tremere. You actually want to be part of this? Okay, behold Tremere. We didn't even have to ask them. We didn't even have to make an agreement with them. Okay, signed, stamp. Okay, who's next? Nosferatu. Okay, you guys are kind of gross, but you do have very good spite networks. Okay, check. Who's next? The Gangrel. There's no harm in accepting you. Check. Then they have a crazy idea. What if we, instead of rejecting the Bruja, we invite the Bruja into the Camarilla and get them to work the crappy jobs that nobody wants to work. And if something goes wrong against the Bruja, they get blamed for it, and they fight our wars for us. And we'll just give them the crappy jobs forever, and they'll think they'll promote when they never will. Check. All right, Bruja are in. Who's next? Assamites, please, Assamites. And then the Assamites just throw the contract in Hardstat's face, turn around, and leave. Well, that would have been great had we got that contract, but we'll get you in another 100 years with the treaty with another treaty that will forcibly blood bind you and make you addicted to vampire blood. You'll get yours for saying no to the deal you can't refuse. Okay, who's next? The Giovanni? No, cross it off the list. The Cappadocians? What do you think, guys? Should we bring in the Cappadocians? No, they're weird. All right, scratch them off. The Salubri, good. Oh wait, no, Chimera, you don't want them in. Okay, well, just for you, Chimera, we'll take the Salubri off. Who's next? The Ravnos, absolutely not. No. The Zamichi, no. You talk too much, Lo Sombra. Oh, by the way, Lo Sombra, fuck you. You're off the list too. That leaves who's left? The Setites. We're crossing out 3 times. That's how much no. All right, okay, we're gonna wad up their invitations specifically and just throw it into a fire. Okay, Camarilla's made, send out the invites. You're now part of Camarilla, and thus we have the Camarilla. And do you want to talk about Camarilla history? Because you can't talk about Camarilla history without talking about Ventrue history, because Ventrue history is Camarilla history, and Camarilla history is Ventrue history. Anything the Camarilla do, it is the Ventrue leading the charge on it. The Ventrue, the Camarilla is their baby. It is their baby. It is their dream project. The Camarilla is everything that they wanted. It is, like I said about the Ventrue giving power to other people, that is exactly what the Camarilla was designed to do. It gives powers to those who are deserving of the power, while they lead the power from behind the shadows. And the Shadow Lords are looking at this and say, wow, that's a really good idea. Can we do the same with the Garu Nation? Nope, they'll never get it either, because the Surfangs just refuse to die. Why won't you kill over, old man?
Because it is on divine right by Luna herself.
For how many years did Jacob Morningkill live? He lived until he was 90, before he finally died.
Yeah.
There it is.
It's like fucking Xi Jinping caused the deaths of 60 million people from poor ecology and dumb shit management of his government, and then lived to be fucking 90.
See, Ryan realized he posted on the wrong channel. Yeah, there's the game.
Yeah. I said that to Sean by accident.
Sean, how many times do you keep showing us these miniatures? And
Right.
well, name an event in human history, because the Ventrue were behind it. You can start pressing the fast forward button on human history now. Any major European decision had a Ventrue behind it. But what about colonization? America. Let's go to America, everybody. Let's go. Oh man, who just got on that boat? Was that the
Funded by
fucking
Ventrue.
Sombra? Enejaner, are you kidding me? Those Sombra just went to South America?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they do that.
Okay, is North America still open?
No, they're there too.
Okay, well, we never actually wanted to go to America anyway. There was no money in America, and that was never going to happen, and it's just colonies, and we already own the colonies because we own England. So we
We'll
don't
just
even
let them
know.
destroy themselves.
Yeah,
They'll
we
be
don't even
fine.
need
They'll
we
be
don't even
fine.
need America. We're fine.
They'll peter out.
Yeah. Oh, what's that? The American Revolution and America just became its own country? Well, shit, we were wrong.
Guess we need to get involved.
So they try to undermine America, but the Sabbat ensure that America exists. So behold, your freedom was built off of Sabbat money and influence. Well, shit. Well, how about instead of trying to influence America, we just go all in on Europe instead? That sounds like a better idea, right? Let's just do that. And they go to South Africa. They go to India. They really love India. There was a whole theory too that Ventrue was actually called Vedartha, and he was Indian in heritage. The whole theory behind that.
That's
Though that that does remain to be seen.
Mm.
And
India has the only known bloodline of Clan Ventrue, and to call them a bloodline is sort of not exactly fair. They have the same bane as the Ventrue do. They have the same disciplines. They do have access to their own special form of blood magic, but mostly it's just temperamentally different.
and
But
they're called
it is noticed as a bloodline.
they're called the Nava, right?
Yes, they're the Nanava. They are not only the leaders of the Indian caste system when it comes to vampiric society, they are also take roles as spiritual leaders as well. They have a lot more firm grasp up until the Cathayans started invading.
Exactly. Speaking of those Cathayans, China, let's get them hooked on opium, and then when they try to rebel against them, we'll threaten to go to war with them, and then we'll exploit them into giving us Hong Kong. There we go. That sounds like a plan, right? And it went off without a hitch. And Japan. They surround Japan and force Japan into the Meiji Restoration and the Civil War. I think, what was that period called again? The Bajimatsu period? Let's see.
I cannot remember.
Chinese history is not my area.
That's Japanese history.
Bakumatsu, that's what it was
Oh.
called. Yeah. This is my favorite period of Japanese history, where they went to where the shogunate ended and then the Meiji Restoration began, and Japan was at a civil war with each other. This was their version of the Wild West, by the way, where you had people fighting in the streets with swords and guns. And the Ventrue forced Japan into the Meiji Restoration just so they could fight off the Ventrue. And then the Ventrue still came in anyway, and they made friends with the Emperor. So a lot of good that did. And
yeah, there's a reason that Japan is currently one of the only camarilla strongholds in the East.
yeah, the Tremere have a whole chantry in Tokyo and everything.
They do.
Yeah, and the Kuei-jin are not happy about that. Speaking of the Kuei-jin,
Not at all.
the Ventrue do not like the Kuei-jin. They know what a threat the Kuei-jin are, and they're the only Camarilla clan that really takes them seriously. Because you remember playing Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines and just how much Sebastian LaCroix freaked out about the Kuei-jin? Where
Yes.
like I don't feel like this is a spoiler because this game is 20 years old by this point. In every ending that you portray LaCroix, he's in your face saying, "You Judas, you devil, you piece of shit, you're gonna pay for what you've done." But when you side with the Kuei-jin, he says, "What have you done? Dude, you realize what to make me." Oh, she's in the room with me. And then he immediately clams up after that because he knows that nothing he says will save him after that.
No,
Oh yeah,
that's,
Johnny, when I do get over there, I'm gonna get a laptop and we're gonna sit down, we're gonna play that on stream.
There it is.
Oh,
I'm gonna hook it up to the TV, we're gonna get it done.
We're going to get her done.
absolutely great.
Get her done. Well, I had that walkthrough in my lap the entire time.
Now, I would say that the Tremere do have their own special interest in the Cathayans. They do have one entire chantry dedicated to their destruction.
Yes. And they should be destroyed. They're evil. They're pure evil.
Indeed.
The Yama Kings are evil.
Well, yeah,
Why couldn't you
they
be
are using word magic in order to make more vampires.
Why aren't you the Wan Shan? Where's the Wan Shan at?
They got corrupted.
There's no more Wan Shan anymore. But why aren't you the Wan Shan?
Because they got corrupted.
And everything is good in Europe. The Ventrue are eating very well in Europe until World War I happens. Now, the Ventrue did control Europe. Well, what about all the wars that happened around that time? Well, that was just all theater at the end of the day. War generates money. War distracts the population from the vampires. All the wars in Europe were controlled. The Ventrue knew what they were doing. You remember the Young Turks? No, not those Young Turks. The French history Young Turks, who were British plants that were there to upset the government of France. That's what they were for.
That I didn't.
You know what I'm talking. You don't know what I'm talking about, do you?
No, I do not.
See, you pull up. This is a call to action for anyone pulling this up. Pull up the Young Turks, not the television show, the historical shit, and look into that and just find out just how powerful England was back in the day. What was it? England, like 100 years ago, you had control of the world, and now look at you today.
The sun never set on the English Empire.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Until
they just decided to
2024.
become a bank instead.
There it is. And World War I happens, and Franz Ferdinand was not supposed to die at that year. And it looks like we got our civilians a little too riled up about war, and now we've lost control over our own people, who are now filled with such nationalistic rage that we no longer controlled World War One, and this war that was supposed to be for money got way out of hand and now upset a lot of structure. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. We can rebuild. Hold on a minute. Who's that guy over there? Is that Stalin? What the fuck? We just lost Russia? Who? Who? Oh, of course it's you, Bruja. Of course you took Russia. Of course. Of
Thank
course.
you, Ragnar. Very cool.
Yeah. And the Shadow Lords let it happen too? Well, Shadow Lords got a bit of explaining to do. Oh, we were getting back at the Silver Fangs. Who are the Silver Fangs? Those are Silver Fangs? Okay. Okay, Shadow Lords, we can't really do anything about you because you're werewolves, so we'll just let that slide for now. But yeah, please don't kill me. Okay, we can rebuild. And then what happens in 1938? A certain Austrian painter runs for office, gets elected, and then invades a certain country.
Or Poland.
And there it is. Rapred is still waiting for his reparation check from Germany. And
he deserves it. You should pay him, Germany.
See, just pay give the Polish people more money. They know what to do with it. They're doing really well in Europe right now.
Poland?
They didn't even shut down. And
little European Texas.
And that's exactly it.
They can't own guns in Poland, can they?
And the whole thing
they can.
Oh, shit.
And the whole thing with World War II, that was an entirely wormish operation. The worm screws over Clan Ventrue's attempt to rebuild after World War One, and now half of Europe is controlled by the Sabbat. Great. The Sabbat pour in from out of the middle of Russia because the Bruja did just such a poor job at running Russia's vampire world, and just let the Sabbat spill out all the way to the Berlin Wall. And the Ventrue look and say, well, that ain't good. And so America, let's check out what's going on over there. They all, half the Ventrue pack up and leave Europe and go over to America. And the gang fights in the 50s, the civil unrest in the 60s, the serial killings in the 70s, the cartels in the 80s, that was all set dressing and all smokescreen for the Camarilla going to war with the Sabbat and trying to get a piece of America for themselves. And they eventually partially succeed, because from Maine all the way down to Georgia, and then you go around Georgia all the way to Louisiana, around the Bible Belt, and then all the way over to California, Oregon, and Washington, that is now Camarilla territory. They fought and they managed to take that much land from the Sabbat in America. Because as it turns out, the Sabbat are a little bit too busy in South America to send anybody over to North America. Though they have a hard line at Mexico. The U.S.-Mexican border, that is what separates the Camarilla from the Sabbat today. And with current events, you can make an entire campaign around that. And,
oh, buddy.
And then Canada, it still has Sabbat in it, but the Camarilla have gone into Canada and have taken Canada away from the Sabbat as well. And now the Ventrue are fighting to clutch onto what they have. They still have control, and with the way that Europe is going right now, you could argue that the World Economic Forum is the Ventrue by another name, or it's the Worm, or it's the Tenacracy, depending on how you see them. And they're trying to regain as much control as quickly as possible, because now they're beginning to realize, oh shit, the red stars in the sky, we need to get our control back today, because you know that mission from Cain to prevent Gehenna? That's upon us again. And how are we going to save the world this time? We came with the Camarilla the first time, and that was a great idea. We need to come up with a world-saving idea today, or there's not going to be a world for us to control. And that is where the Ventrue history kind of sort of stops. It ends on a cliffhanger. Mm-hmm. How are the Ventrue going to pull us all out of this one, folks? 5th edition, we're not touching that. No,
No, thank you.
No.
We don't need to know.
That was a stupid idea with what you did with Mithras. Speaking of Mithras, you want to talk about lore characters? It's been a minute since we talked about
The
lore
Ventrue has
characters.
some
We're
nice
talking
ones.
about lore characters for one reason and one reason only.
Because there are
Mithras?
so many good characters in the Ventrue. So many good characters. So many good characters.
But
dude.
there's one
I
that's
don't know
Johnny's favorite, and
I
it's
don't
not
know
Mithras.
which picture of Mithras to send you.
How can he not be his favorite? He's the best.
Fucking Mithras. Let me use this picture where it's doing the vibe check. See,
The
let me
vibe
send you-
check? Hold up.
Yeah, the vibe check. He's giving you the vibe check.
Yeah, he's creepy looking, isn't he?
There he is.
He is creepy, yeah.
So this is Mithras,
Very.
the sun god. How's a
How's a vampire
Ventrue?
sun guard?
Yeah, how's he the sun god? Well, he explains it by saying, well, the thing is, idiot, I'm chasing the sun around the world all day, and I'm only here at night because I'm done chasing the sun.
Yes.
Ah, I see.
So he's the moon.
Yeah, yes.
Mm,
Okay,
He's the
me,
sun
Ross,
god.
whatever.
He is Luna.
he's the god. He was a god of soldiers. That's how he came
Yeah.
to his political power. Because not only did he help the Roman soldiers during his rise to power, but he also was their god. The
Yeah.
sun god Mithras was the god of soldiers.
Yeah, because he was an inside guy during the war with Persia, and he sold out the Persians to Sparta, and then with that, continued to just grow and grow and grow in power until he decides, England, I'm going to establish my kingdom here, and he sets up a sun god cult in England, and somehow gets away with it.
If it works,
I don't know
it
how
works.
you pull it off, but it was crazy enough for it to work. And this is the Prince of London, and the quintessential Ventrue. If you want to see how to run your Ventrue, you check this dude out. This guy is awesome. This guy is awesome.
Sir, I believe you're underplaying Mithras. He is not the Prince of London. He is the Prince of England.
England is that you did so well in London, they
Uh,
gave you the entire country.
A single city does not contain the might of Mithras.
With how ridiculously powerful this is. The amount of people at his beck and call too. This guy has, what was it, like 30 vampires, and they all listen to everything he says in London. This guy is
He has some of the few remaining members of Clan Cappadocian, not the Harbinger of Skulls or where they have become the Giovanni, but true members of Clan Cappadocian that have remained and been unkilled all this time at his beck and call.
And he's done everything in his power to keep the Sabbat out. He's kept the Giovanni out of England. He's kept the Setites out of England. Thank you. And like the 7th generation and Pentex are struggling to have operations in England, and he's doing such a bang up job with this country. He's doing fantastic. This guy, if you want your country run and to be prosperous forever, you get Mithras to do it. But after World War II, you can't really do much after World War II because he was driven into torpor. A bomb fell on his castle and sent him into torpor.
Yeah.
And he's back up and awake in 1996 after a bunch of lupines tried to jump him in his sleep and kill him. It woke him up, he chased him off, and now he's back in charge in England.
After
So
a bit of
stomping
a
ground.
change in apparel.
Yeah.
Is after all, you know you're strong if you fight off a pack of werewolves by yourself. Let's read this stat block out, by the way. You ready to swallow your tongue, Kyle?
Yes.
Also, you want to know who this guy's sire was?
Who?
Ventrue himself. He's 4th generation.
Fuck. Okay.
So here you go. All right. Strength 9, Dexterity 7, Stamina 8, Charisma 8, Manipulation 9, Appearance 7, Perception 9, Intelligence 9, Wits 8. Alertness 8, Athletics 7, Brawl 8, Dodge 7, Intimidation 7, Intuition 7, Leadership 9, Subterfuge 7, Archery 5, Etiquette 6, Firearms 4, Melee 9, Stealth 6, Bureaucracy 8, Area Knowledge of England and London 8, Criminal Lore 4, Economics 4, Kindred Lore 7, Law 6, Linguistics 4, Occult 5, Politics 6, and Science 1.
What the hell?
Disciplines,
Yes.
Dominate 9, Fortitude 6, Potence 5, Presence 8, Quietus 4.
Why
Now-
does he have Quietus?
I don't know. I don't know.
Very simply, I can actually answer that question for
Tell
you.
us.
Very
Please.
simply. Because I am Mithras's state-sponsored hype person. I
Good.
love Mithras. I think Mithras is the best. Let me go over some of the many accomplishments of Mithras.
Yes, tell us.
Mithras has been noted he was so prominent that Hakim himself traveled to the baronies of Avalon to speak with Mithras for 3 nights, and then he left, never to be seen again. Now, this was the last time anyone had seen Hakim, so some obviously speculate that, oh, perhaps he was killed in some untoward manner. But obviously, someone as influential as Mithras would never do something so untoward to a member of the second or third generation, given your however you want to look at it. But yes, Mithras himself, while he is not of the third generation, he is an antediluvian. He did live through the flood.
You did.
He is ancient
Yeah,
beyond reckoning.
Yeah, by technicality, which is why it's fucking bullshit that he's dead in 5e.
Yeah.
It's
Nobody would have been able to kill him.
yeah.
To add to a final blow, what can kill a god but a god?
Yeah.
And as such, Mithras has had his own share of battles in before, because in the dark nights of his reign, a single individual came upon London, and the younger kindred of the city started to vanish. He thought nothing of this at first, of course, because that just happens sometimes. Sometimes young kindred, they leave the city, they go elsewhere, they get killed because they're stupid. Who knows what's going to happen to them?
And
But then he sent one of his stewards, one of his gangrel enforcers, go find out what's going on with this. Go find out. I don't care how you do it, just do. Unfortunately for Mithras, this one enforcer was not the brightest of individuals, because after finding another scene of a grisly kindred murder, he didn't realize he was followed. And the person responsible for this, if you can call them a person at all, followed after Mithras's informant back to his haven itself. And then Mithras and this individual, Osiris, did battle in the streets of London for hours until they were both fought to an entire standstill. But you could say that, or you could say the fact that Mithras drove Osiris out of London.
There it is. And that's why there are no children of Osiris in London.
That's fucking insane.
Nobody will be learning Obeah today. And yeah, with that thing with Hakim, that's why I subscribe to the idea that Urshulgi diabolized Hakim and became one with him. That, like with all the different ways like diablery happens, the idea that Urshulgi and Hakim combine and become one symbiotic entity is the idea I like the most. They did a fusion dance, so to speak.
Yep.
And now we get to talk about Hardstadt the Younger, but we need to talk about Hardstadt the Eldest first. So Hardstadt the Eldest was not the Roman emperor, but he was a shadow emperor. While the emperor was a public figure, he was the guy behind the emperor calling all the shots. And that's how he got his start. He ran Rome pretty well, and he was the guy, the Camarilla formation, that was his idea. He was the one that decided that we needed the Camarilla. And he was a pretty good guy until he died. And he was killed by the fucking Bruja at the start of the Anarch Revolt. When the Anarchs finally got sick to death of him after getting felted, well, not at the start of the Anarch Revolt, the Bruja came after him after he felted Micah Vikos in public. And in order to avenge the honor of Micah Vikos, they killed him in the street, and that left Hardstadt the Younger to take his place. And Hardstadt the Younger was not as good of a person as Hardstadt the Eldest. That's Hardstadt the Younger, by the way. Hardstadt
dealing with
Jr.
Instead of a lovely 4th generation exemplar of the clan, you're now dealing with a 6th generation guy who is here because of nepotism. Let's be honest.
He's here. Everything you had because of Hardstadt the Eldest. And this guy, Hardstadt the Younger, he is Mr. Camarilla. This is one of the
He looks
3 big
terrifying.
heads. Yeah, he looks like an asshole, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where Corazon of the Tremere, Corazon of the Toreador, Atreus of the Tremere, and Hardstep the Younger are the 3 major heads of the Camarilla. They're the ones that are calling all the shots when it comes to the Camarilla. But the thing is, Atreus is a basement dweller. Corazon is doing a pretty good job. Hardstep the Younger is a full-on Caligula type. He looked at Emperor Nero, and he said there was nothing wrong with the way he was running Rome, and I'm going to run the Camarilla the exact same way. This guy lives in absolute luxury and hedonism, watching his younger vampires die while he just sits back and reaps all the benefits. He benefits from death, from destruction, from the erasure of culture, and from people's misery. He is a terrible person. He knows he's terrible, and he loves it. He's so terrible that during the Gehenna scenario, I believe it is Nightshade, he willingly sends younger vampires to their deaths to speed up the events of Gehenna. And this upsets his childer, Jan Peterzun, so much that he launches a coup against the Camarilla and finally ousts Hardstep the Younger for all of his bullshit. You finally get what you deserve.
Now, mind you, most
Yeah.
people, the reason, how does he get away with this?
Yeah.
It's because most people think he is still Hardstep the eldest. He is not only a blood relate. He's not only the grandchild of Hardstep the eldest. But Hardstep the Younger also bears an almost identical visage
Visage, yeah.
to Hardstep the eldest. As such, when Hardstep the eldest died, he not really on his own choice, to be honest, but was sort of thrust upon him that he would take up his grandsire's mantle so that he could continue the dream of the Camarilla. To be fair, he is no slouch either. He is still a very powerful kindred in his own right. I would not mess with him if I ran into him on a dark night. But he is far from the exemplar that you would hope from a leader of Clan Ventrue.
And this guy is a villain too. If you want an overarching villain plot, Hardstep the Younger is a very good villain to bring in.
You know who he reminds me of? Okay, you're a Lebowski, I'm a Lebowski.
He's a fraud. That's what this man is. He is a fraud.
Now, even then, they even were capable of doing him dirty in V5.
Yeah, because he gets dropped on him. He gets a bridge dropped on him. Fucking Theo Bell just walks in and shoots him in the head with a shotgun, and that's how he dies.
Yeah, a shotgun against a Ventrue.
Yes. Like, you wouldn't have survived this. Hello, Justin. Did you forget the fucking story you wrote?
Did you forget Fortitude 9?
There's losing your touch, and then there's what happened with Justin. I don't know what the fuck happened with that dude. Oh my god. Okay, let's talk about Jan Peterzun. I've been wanting to talk about Jan Peterzun. There he is. I like this picture of him.
It's Jordan Peterson, this guy.
Yep. There he is.
This is the face of Clan Ventrue for the books.
He's the cover of the book for 2nd edition.
Is that the one you sent me?
Yes.
He is the clan image for 1st edition. He is the clan image for 2nd. I don't think he's in revised, but he is in V20.
And
it's this guy.
He's also the main character of the clan novels, where it follows him. And Eden, I know he's more well versed with the novels than I am, so he knows this character and he knows why I love this guy. This is your man of the future. He is a visionary. He believes that we need to leave superstition of Gehenna behind, because if we're constantly thinking about the end times, we're not going to prepare. That the apocalypse will not be televised, so to speak. That we need to stop scaring ourselves with these apocalypse ideas. We need to actually build a future for vampires. If you live like it's doomsday, you're preparing for the present, not the future. So he comes in and he says, all talk of Gehenna is banned. If I catch you talking about Gehenna, you will be severely punished. Which is why when we did that one shot with Tabitha, why your character...
I don't remember his name.
Yeah, did not believe that Gehenna was going to happen. And it's because Jan Peterzun shoots that down. And that's become a culture thing.
More so talking about, like, the fact that Malkev had returned and was now demolishing the Camarilla and making way for his own faction in North America. And my Ventrue was like, "Oh, that's preposterous. That's impossible. Truly, you must be, traumatized by what you've seen. You need to relax."
Yeah. And the other thing about him is that he's actually a pretty decent guy, but he's got a very nasty clan flaw. We'll go into a little bit more of detail about that, but you know what his feeding type is? It's nasty. You want me to tell you?
Go ahead.
Tell us.
Women who are targets of rape.
Oh, fuck.
So
yeah, you don't get to choose that.
Yep. So it's mentioned like in one of the books that he could not find one of those women. So he had to do the deed himself to an unsuspecting bystander and then make her forget it happened with dominate.
See, mine I think was arguably worse. Mine was my Ventrues was adolescent boys, and I was like, no, I'm an Epstein
we have
client,
the Epstein vampire.
No.
And his whole shtick with his clan novel, by the way, is him coming to America and fighting against the Sabbat. And eventually he would end up losing the fight at the end of the day, but he eventually would retake New York with Theo Bell as his right-hand man, Mr. Bruja. And he's smart enough to know that we can't have this ongoing rivalry with the Bruja when we work with the Bruja, and is able to put that shit to the side. And what really wins me over with this guy is that in the Gehenna book, whoever wrote the night shit scenario loved Jan Peterson, because this dude, after Zimichi wakes up and attacks everyone on the street, he goes on to he goes on a talk show. Like he goes on Oprah on Oprah's show, and he says, "Oh yeah, I'm a vampire, and the vampires exist, and you should not be scared of vampires. You've been living with vampires this entire time. Look at all the good stuff we've done for you, and if you give me all the money and resources I need to fight Zimichi, we will ensure your safety." And he convinces America that vampires are a good thing, and that the Camarilla has their best interest. And he gets the blank check from the American government that he needs.
It's fucking insane.
He comes in, he
To
pulls
be
that
fair, the Ventrue do kind of run the government too, so it wasn't the hardest sell. It's like looking to your brother that you're on good terms with and saying, "Hey, we need to vote, the two of us, on giving me money from this third party. Can I count on your vote?"
Yeah. You want to talk about like who owns the Dominion voting machines? It's the Ventrue. What was that? What was that quote? The election doesn't matter. The votes don't matter. It's who's counting the votes that matter.
Yep, basically.
So
yes,
yeah, any sort of American voter fraud. Okay, you know where I was going with the joke. But yeah, him coming out and convincing the American public that that the Clan Ventrue was their savior is what won me over with Jan Peterson.
That's kind of fucking incredible, that mass dominate.
If anyone could, it's a Ventrue, to be fair.
See, I have a friend. His name is Jan Peterson. He's part of Clan Ventrue, and they're tremendous people. I've worked with Clan Ventrue this entire time. I never knew it.
I just got off the phone with Jan Peterson. Yes, we all know him. He's a good friend of Oprah, who has a tremendous TV show, absolutely tremendous. I've watched it for years, believe me. And you know what Jan Peterson said to me? He said that under your administration, we have never had more strong an economy, more stable a population. And he said that if we continue to help him, he'll continue to help us. I think he's a tremendous guy. Absolutely the best there is.
He said he's going to go home to his wife. He says his wife likes Trump. And I said I like her too.
I love doing that shit. Oh, man.
When we were talking about the Ventrue, I don't know how I didn't, but I did not foresee Trump coming up.
He always does. It's just like an elephant in the room, you know. It's unavoidable. You have to make a Trump joke
Thanos.
with the Camarilla. You
There's
kind of
that
have to.
dude that they brought
He's
in.
Thanos. It's inevitable.
There was a guy that they brought in for 5e that fucking wrote Donald Trump into Vampire the Masquerade and got fired for doing that.
I didn't want to say it, but that second picture up kind of looks like him.
God does Hartstadt.
No, yeah, you're right. Hartstadt does kind of look like
there
him.
it is. Is there like a secret conspiracy here with an upcoming election?
He got a Samichi into tribute to change him to look like Donald Trump.
And there it is.
All those dead voters were actually just vampires.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That it makes so much sense now.
There it is. See, if you combine Vampire the Masquerade with real life stuff, like you see it, the Chronicle will write itself.
Yeah, it's like
It's as easy as
Tabitha
that.
being like 130 years old in the events of fucking what was it? Las Vegas by Night voting for
Yeah.
Trump.
There-
Meep would probably detest me for saying that, but like it'd be really funny.
And those are the three big Ventrue that I want to talk about. Those are I think those just might be some of my favorite characters in World Darkness in general. Because
They're good choices.
because a lot of these vampires are good, but the Ventrue, I don't think there's like a bad Ventrue. No, hold on, man, there is one more guy. Who is it? Dark Alliance Vancouver. What was his
I'm trying to
name?
remember.
You know who I'm talking about? Siegfried.
Yeah.
Yeah, that dude. Okay, go watch our Dark Alliance Vancouver video if you want to remember who he is.
Yep. Talk about Siegfried. He's a good. Well,
Siegfried.
I mean,
the alpha male.
he really is. I
There
don't
he
know.
is.
Vancouver's such a neat setting. I'd love to eventually do that, but that's sometime in the future.
Yeah, that's way down the road.
That is.
We just added DC 20 to the list of games we gotta get through.
We got a lot of shit to do, don't we?
Yeah, then so little time. And what is next? Now we can talk about how the Ventrue embrace. Okay. So Kyle, you just got hired for a new job.
Yes, I did.
How many interviews did you do?
Actually, 2. It was very brief on this one.
And how many people were on that list of candidates?
That part I'm unsure of. I know there were some other ones where I was like the top 3 in contention. There were others where I was like 5 people in contention. But yeah.
Now quintuple that number if you want to become a Ventrue ghoul.
Jesus.
They are looking for people that are leaders but know how to follow orders and have the power to let power go. They're looking for politicians, businessmen, soldiers, spies, the kind of people that have their own initiative and their own backbone. What a Ventrue will do is they'll have an initial interview with you and give you very subtle hints as to what they are, but most of those hints you will miss. And if you do well enough on it, then they'll call you back for another interview. And then they start adding in a little bit more hints, a little bit more. By the third or the fourth interview, they let it go, say, we're part of a very powerful organization, and they'll pretend it's, say, the Illuminati or the Freemasons is what they'll tell you, and that they're considering you to be a member. And then they'll send you back. You come back for some more interviews. You keep coming back for these until it's like interview 10 that they finally tell you, okay, this organization we're hiring you for, we're telling you this because we're strongly considering you. We're vampires. That's what we are. We're vampires. And we're going to give you our blood. It's going to extend your lifespan. We're going to help you get set up in life. You're going to experience wild success. We want you to be a leader. We want you to have these men because we know you can do the job. If you say yes, then they will finally start ghouling you. And now you are in the Ventrue family, so to speak. And how do you keep your good graces in the Ventrue? Do a good job. Whatever job the Ventrue give you, do it and don't fuck it up. It's was that story like kind of comparing it to Jesus and telling the parable about the slave master and the 3 slaves, where he wants you to be the slave that takes the 1 gold, invests it, and turns it into 5 gold. If you bring in more returns with the Ventrue, you will become considered to become embraced. But there can only be 1 Ventrue embraced at a time. Promotions with the Ventrue happen very slowly because the Ventrue...
The Ventrue are a clan of stability.
Yeah,
they bring stability wherever they go. They crave it because it's the best way for them to function and make their money and rule. As such, if you are embraced more promptly than going through this official process, it can get you sort of ostracized among your peers until you prove yourself.
Yeah, because we can't just make you a trust fund, baby. You actually have to earn the position we're putting you in.
Yep.
And And along with that, a lot of Ventrue stay around for a while because the Ventrue aren't on the front lines dying. It's not the Bruja where there's a new job position open for a Bruja every day. No, the Ventrue, you are waiting years before the opportunity arises. Probably just as long as the Giovanni, like the whole 80-year wait before you finally become a Ventrue.
I mean, hell, the
And
fucking training period for the
yeah,
Banu Hakim is 14 years.
yeah, and with the Ventrue, it can happen faster because they don't like embracing old people. The Ventrue like being young. They want young bodies that can take the punishment of, if in the event an assassin's after me, I need to be able to make sure I have the strength and vitality to get away from the assassin.
Mm.
That's what they
Yes.
want. They don't
Now there
want.
is a single caveat to this, and it
Yes.
goes with the whole you didn't earn your place here. You sort of were given it. You need to prove yourself. Ventrue do have a habit, unfortunately, of of maintaining connections on their mortal lines.
Yes.
It's like, yes, my sister, they had a family, they had kids, all this other stuff, and then they look over and they're like, I see some of the spark of success of myself in this person, whether it's
Mhm.
there or not, of course.
Mhm.
And then they end up siring a member of their family a couple generations down the line.
Yes.
And that is a notable flaw among the Ventrue, but
Because they
sometimes keep it in the family, I guess.
because one of their big flaws amongst the Ventrue is vanity. They always assume that they are the smartest man in the room, because they usually are. But in the event there is a man who's smarter than them, they won't admit they're being outsmarted. Because after all, I'm Clan Ventrue. I'm put on this world to rule. I'm the one who gets the final say, and I'm not going to take it from someone else
Oh,
unless I give them that power. And then with the Ventrue, after like interview 20, finally you get the job for the Ventrue vampire. You're embraced, and you are expected to help humanity and vampires prosper forever. There it is. Your line must go up forever. There is no firing amongst the Ventrue. You just don't wake up one day after going into day sleep. As easy as that.
Whack a made guy.
And usually the Ventrue don't fight on the front lines, but I do like the concept of a Ventrue sheriff. How does that sound?
That'd be cool, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
I kind of want to
Now,
do that
Ventrue
now.
do
That'd be
have-
fun.
Ventrue have soldiers.
Yeah.
They have people that they've sired specifically for the purpose of fighting.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, pretty terrifying individuals. These are the kinds of people who, they're Ventrue. They have connections.
Yeah.
You don't tend to expect a Ventrue to come at you with a couple of dots in celerity or a few dots in potence to even the score on you. And then all of a sudden, oh yeah, this guy, I can't take him down because his skin is made of diamonds and he's punching me with the force of a semi truck.
It's
See, what you do is you blood bond a bunch of Bruja and Gangrel, and then have them sire a bunch of people, and there's your own personal army.
there it is. You get someone else to do the job. He's an anarch Ventrue. Forgive him. Because the whole science process with the anarchs and the Sabbat, fuck it with the we are the anarchs and the Sabbat. We do things the way we want to. Well, the Ventrue still amongst the Sabbat still want a guy who will get the job done, but they don't go through the lengthy process of the Camarilla. Now, the Ventrue anti-tribu are the only people in the Sabbat that I would hesitate to call good people. Because if there is a virtuous member of the Sabbat, they would be Ventrue. And that is the Ventrue amongst the Sabbat. While the Camarilla Ventrue are politicians and CEOs, anti-tribu Ventrue are knights. That's what they are. They want to get in the front. They want to go out and fight and be the ones leading the charge. And they will crank out fortitude as soon as they can. That's what you want to heavily invest into when you're playing a Sabbat Ventrue. And the other thing, with you talking about fighting, yes, they will go up there with fortitude and the force of a cement trunk in their punches, but also think, my enemy is threatening to kill me. Okay, he'll wake up tomorrow to people repossessing his car, the city condemning his house, and his bank account being frozen. And then that's how I win the fight. You can't shoot me with a gun if you can't afford the bullets for it. It's as easy as that.
I mean, yeah.
Don't fight harder, fight smarter. So whenever you make your Ventrue, crank out that intelligence stat because that's what you are. You are super smart with the Ventrue. Is that can we get the nerd glasses emoji in chat?
Yeah, let me let me go grab that real quick. Hold up.
There it is.
Fucking. Oh yeah, Jesus!
And
I'm in so many fucking groups.
there
here.
it is.
Yep, there we go. This
So-
one right here.
So yeah, there it is. If we get a nerd in chat, see, then we'll go. I'll put that with a nerd. And well, Enejaner the
If some fucking Brewhub pulls up on your block talking some mad shit about your fancy car and your $10,000 watch, just hit him with one of these.
Now, Enejaner, you mentioned that there were like subgroups of Ventrue.
There are, but when you're saying this, they are definitely more considered special interest groups.
Yes.
And a lot of them are unfortunately labeled in the Theater of the Mind books for Vampire the Masquerade, which is when you're going to find all the really weird stuff for Vampire the Masquerade, because the people who LARP Vampire, they're very unique people. They're very unique people.
They did not read any of the clan books.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Wait, isn't Dance a part of a LARP?
He is. And that's why he's so good at roleplay. And
now, some of these groups, none of them are bloodlines. That needs to be specified here. They are more family lines among the Ventrue, in the sense of like sire to child, but they don't know anything innately to their blood. There are groups who have made friends with the Lasombra somehow. And have in their own little grouping, you are able to take at character creation up to 2 dots of obtenebration. There are others who have made great inroads into the Roma people, who have as such been able to make some friends with Ravnos. And now these family lines that exist, we're talking 2 or 3 kindred and then their childer.
Yes.
So it's at most a couple of dozen, and that's being very generous for how many of these kindred exist. Most of them don't have names for them. I know that the ones that are buddy with our lovely friends in Clan Lasombra, they have a name. Unfortunately, I could not find it. I was looking through my books. I can't find the name that they're given, but they do have one. I just can't find it.
Yeah, good old.
It's something suitably Latin.
Yeah, that's good old esoteric vampire.
Yes. Now, all of these are still under the strictures of Clan Ventrue. These are, for the most part, I know a couple of them are anti-tribu, but for the most part, these are still under the rules of the Camarilla. Definitely everyone doesn't see eye to eye. You see a Ventrue start to use obtenebration, you're probably going to have some questions. The Lasombra definitely are going to have a couple questions about what you're doing there. But it does add a bit more flavor to the World of Darkness, and it's something you can easily choose to add to your chronicle or choose to ignore its existence completely. Because honestly, from all of my research, none of these groups have ever done anything of impact in the World of Darkness.
Right, because Mind's Eye Theater is canon and not canon at the same time, because it's written by an almost entirely different team. And you do have one more group of Ventrue, the El Hijazi, who are just the Ventrue within the Ashira, and that's it really. They're Muslim Ventrue pretty much.
But to be fair, they're just Ventrue.
Yeah, they're Ventrue by another name. They're the ones over here that are making Dubai one of the richest cities in the world. And how do Ventrue introduce themselves? You don't just give your name. You give the name of everyone in your clan lineage in one sentence. Because
as far back as you can go. Some, unfortunately, some kindred, they They just do not have the proper knowledge of their forefathers.
Yeah,
And as
because
such, they can only go back 2 or 3 generations. So sad for them.
because what am I am Ryan, what's the name of your Venture character again?
Thomas William.
Let's see.
William
You go,
Thomas. Sorry, I had that backwards.
because you go, I am William Thomas. I am son of Vijan Peter Zune, who's son of Hardstedt the Younger, who's son of Hardstedt the Elder, who is son of Eric Eigerman, who is the son of Ventrue.
Yeah.
And you
They do
introduce
tend to
yourself.
leave Ventrue off
Yeah.
in the modern Knights at the
Yeah.
very least.
Yeah, because they start to deny that the Antiluvians exist.
Yes. I had a very fun moment. One of my players in my Saturday game, they are a Ventrue, and they were introducing themselves to all the kindred who had come for a meeting in Elysium, because the prince had something very important to say.
Mhm.
And afterwards, it's like networking time. Let's do this. So he went to each and every individual that would give him the light of day,
Uh-huh.
to then go over his heritage, like da 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 da, and he did that with every single individual. To the point, I was like, and he was like, he could go back about like 4 generations. He's 10th gen, so he could go back to the 6th generation. So it was still pretty notable. But he did meet a single individual, and I thought it was very funny, because they didn't quite pick it up, because they introduced themselves as a member of Clan Ventrue, and he has heard that there is an Auturcus of Clan Ventrue in town. And when they introduced themselves, they just said, "Ah, yes, this is my name."
Uh-oh, somebody's out of the
Yeah.
loop.
Yeah. And so I was like, "Oh, that's weird. This person didn't give me the list. This is not what you're supposed to do." It's like, "Oh," and I'm just thinking to myself, "No, they gave you the whole list."
Yeah. So here, let me learn you how to Ventrue.
They
There
just
you
gave
go.
me the whole list. They just, were following Camarilla tradition. You leave off good old Ventrue.
There it is.
So that's something I just have in my back pocket now, and I'm very happy about it.
You think he's some sort of stooge, and as it turns out, oh no, he's actually 4th generation.
Exactly.
Yeah. Is that the whole like people who don't know people who know kind of meme?
Exactly.
And
They didn't pick up on it. I'm sure it will come up later in the chronicle of something of note. But for now, it's just a fun little thing.
see. And there we go. And what other fun things can you do with the Venture? You want to talk about disciplines now? Let's talk about
Ooh, yes,
disciplines.
please.
Yes, I'm leaving this
Let's talk about disciplines. Now, Ryan has the big one. Let's talk about dominate.
I love dominate.
How many times have you used this?
So many.
Yeah, constantly.
Even in my even in our game with Sylvester, I used it constantly.
Yeah, because it's just so good, and there's just so many applications
Let
to
me
it.
put it this way: Dominate saved Colt's life.
Because dominate is a single-use power. Well, presence is objectively the stronger and more useful discipline. Dominate can just do so much more, but to a single target.
Yeah.
It's
until later on where you get to do multiple targets.
Yeah, and then
that's much later on.
Yeah, what dominate can do when you get into elder powers like this, you just begin to understand why vampires have been powerful as long as they have.
I was thinking of presence.
Yeah, but presence, but yeah, like the elder powers are like the fucking crazy ones.
Yeah.
All right.
There is for you at level 7, you do have access to mass manipulation, which does allow you to instead of dominating a single individual, you're able to dominate small groups by simply targeting the strongest willed among them.
And there it is. This is now one of my favorite comics is I know that it's subjectively bad, but I like it anyway. Preacher, and you know how Jesse Custer has
fine.
that.
You mean the new TV show that just came out on Netflix?
See, well, that's been a show actually.
No,
because I remember when that was coming out brand new on Netflix. And
I'm ancient.
Yeah, and Jesse Custer's whole voice like God power, that is such. I love it. I love it. Just like being able to command an entire room with just your voice is such a cool power to give to your main character. Same with like Rohan Kashibe from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure in Heaven's Door, that you make eye contact with the man and he has control over you. That kind of stuff. I just think this is a really cool power to give a main character.
Yeah.
All right.
Some of the fun things you can do with dominate and it's something that the Ventrue really take advantage of, is if someone is bloodbound to you, and this does mean like full blood bond, you
Yes.
don't actually have to look them in the eyes to give them orders with Dominate.
Yeah.
All that is required is either a touch or the sound of your voice.
And that's it. All right.
Maybe I
read
should
off.
just go out
Yeah.
bloodletting a bunch of people.
Yes. So it's
Hey,
as
if you can get
easy
away
as
with
that.
it.
See, because after all,
Just spit in
what
a
it
punch bowl, bro.
because fifth edition had like a good idea with like the extortionist or like the blood leech, where you have vampires who are dependent on your blood, and then you can exploit and blackmail them by saying that they're a Diabolist. Is that's a good way to venture right there. It's a little bit dangerous, but you can get away, but you could get away with it. All right, let's go over
All right.
what the craziness begins with at level 1.
Level 1 is going to be command,
Mm.
which is so fucking useful. So essentially, the vampire will lock eyes with a subject and speak a one-word command, which the subject must obey instantly. The order must be clear, straightforward, like run, agree, fall, yawn, jump, laugh, surrender, stop, scream, or follow. If the command is at all confusing or ambiguous, the subject may respond slowly or perform the task poorly. The subject cannot be ordered to do something directly harmful to themselves. So a command like die is ineffective.
Because a good way to use this, it sounded weird when the gentleman gamer brought it up, but a great example he brought up to use with command is, say you're in a board meeting with a guy that you're trying to sabotage, and he's over there, he's up in front of the crowd making a speech. You just whisper defecate, and then he does with command, and then he shits himself in public, and then just makes an ass of himself and saying, "Oh, we're listening to this guy. He just like shat himself in public. What are we doing listening to you?" And that's a good way to set like crazy plans are just crazy enough to work like that, or what you want to use command with.
Or you have to realize, like, vampires have enough knowledge that they know when they're being affected by things like Dominate. Presence is a subtle tool that both Ventrue and Toradora use. It's usually, if you're knowledgeable enough or you're observant enough, you can tell when you're being affected by presence. You can't be subtle with Dominate against a vampire. They know what you're doing. Sometimes it's just a matter of showing who's boss.
Yeah.
Because
Presence
after all,
is more of like, just like a chisel. Dominate is a sledgehammer.
Absolutely.
Because that's what that is true. What you said, you can't really get away with a subtle use of that against a vampire. But with a mortal, you could just ruin a man's life with this.
Oh yeah.
It's so, if you want a character that's like designed to just fuck with the lives of mortals, this is the discipline you take.
So the command can be included in a sentence, thereby concealing the power it's used from others. This effort subtly still requires the kindred to make eye contact at a proper moment and stress the keyword slightly. An alert bystander or even the victim may notice the emphasis. Still, unless they are conversant. I think I fucked that up, but I'm gonna
don't worry too much about it.
With supernatural powers, the individual is likely to attribute it to utterance and subsequent action to bizarre coincidence. The system, the player will roll a manipulation and intimidation. The difficulty equals the target's current willpower points. More successes force the subject to act with a greater vigor or for a longer duration. Continue running for a number of turns, go on a laughing jag, or screaming uncontrollably. Remember, too, that being commanded to against one's nature confounds the use of this power. To go against one's nature. Being told to sleep in a dangerous situation or attack in a police custody may not have the desired effect, or indeed any effect at all.
After all, you gotta be smart with this power. It's not just the I win power, like say a newbie player would think it would be. Now you gotta think within realistic realms with this power.
And
You
it
gotta.
is absolutely one of those monkey's paw situation when you're dealing with other supernaturals. You
Yeah.
can look a Garu right in the eye and tell them to leave, and they will have to leave. It doesn't stop them from taking a swipe at you on the way out.
Yeah.
It's true.
Is
You just got to make sure you're further enough away to
Yeah.
be able to still
Yeah.
keep eye contact.
Just
But
Yeah, you just need
out
to
of
be
their
aware
reach.
of how you're using your power. And you need to make sure you're choosing the right words when using the power of command.
Mm-hmm.
I believe we were in a car heading away from attacking werewolves, and I used that to, what was it, say stop or something, and they just stopped dead in their tracks.
Yeah. There it is. Good thing they weren't in frenzy.
Right?
Yeah. See, and then level 2. Now we get interesting.
Now we get a wall of text.
Yeah.
It's called mesmerize.
Yes. This is the
I don't know if my voice can handle this, but
see,
with this
Yep.
power, a vampire can verbally implant a false thought or hypnotic suggestion in the subject's subconscious mind. Both kindred and target must be free from distraction, since mesmerize requires intense concentration and precise wording to be effective.
That's-
The vampire may activate the imposed thought immediately or establish a stimulus that will trigger it later. The victim must be able to understand the vampire, though the two need to maintain eye contact only as long as it takes to implant the idea. Mesmerize allows for anything from simple, precise directives like handing over an item to complex, highly involved ones like taking notes of someone's habits and relaying that information at appointed times. It is not useful for planting illusions or false memories, such as seeing a rabbit or believing yourself to be on fire. The subject can only have one suggestion implanted at any time.
Mhm.
That's
These-
why, as a member of Clan Ventrue, if you want to make sure to add an extra level of protection to your own ghouls, uh, if you're okay with not being able to put another suggestion in their head, you can put a simple ongoing suggestion on them and hope that if anyone else tries, they will not be able to overcome your sheer mental power.
Mhm.
So you can use it defensively as well.
yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, that sounds fucking grand.
There it is.
So the system, the player will roll a manipulation and leadership, and the difficulty is equal to the target's current willpower point. The number of successes determines how well the suggestion takes hold in the victim's subconscious. If the vampire scores 1 or 2 successes, the subject cannot be forced to do anything that seems strange to them, like
Right.
walk outside. They might be able to walk outside, but is unlikely to steal a car.
Right.
At 3 or 4 successes, the command is effective unless it's following it endangers the subject. And at 5 or more, the vampire can implant nearly any sort of command. No matter how strong the Kidron's will, the command cannot force the subject to harm themselves directly or defy their innate nature. So while a vampire who scored 5 successes could make a 98-pound weakling attack a 300-pound bouncer, they may not make the mortal shoot themselves in the head. 1 second.
Which is- that's
Now,
the-
if you want to be exceptionally devious, there is nothing to stop you from continually giving new imperatives via mesmerization to slowly ruin their own life till where they will commit self-harm.
Yeah.
That it's just a little bit more involved at that point.
Yeah,
Hey, you should buy that car over there.
That's the La Sombra use of that power. That when it comes to but that's specifically how
You
the
should
La
buy
Sombra,
me that car over there.
because that's how
Absolutely.
that's the whole La Sombra recruiting process too. La Sombra will progressively ruin your life with this power until you lose everything and become entirely dependent on La Sombra. Because
Some
after all,
devious
with the
trick.
because with the breaking of the blood
Oh.
bonds, this is how you ensure loyalty within La Sombra.
There's even a power called loyalty.
There it is.
Mhm.
It's level
So
3.
Well, there's one more part.
Right.
If the vampire tries to mesmerize a subject before the target fulfills a previously implanted directive, compare their successes rolled to those gained during the implanting of the first suggestion. Whichever roll has the greater number of successes is the command that now governs the target's behavior. The other
And that's
suggestion
how you
is
use it
wipe clean.
defensively.
Yeah.
Yes.
The newer one, if they are equal, the newer one supplants the old one.
Mm-hmm.
Level 3 is Forgetful Mind.
Mm-hmm. This is the really good one. This is the really good one right here. You want to do like the whole like MK Ultra hardwiring kind of shit. This is the power you get for it. See what is it? Did Ryan just disconnect?
I don't know. He was here a moment ago.
Fuck.
There we
Yeah, sorry, your
my
mic
mic
went
cut
out.
out
There
right
it is.
in the middle.
Apologies.
All right, from the top.
From the top. I was saying this is another wall of text.
There's another wall of text.
There's a lot
If you
mechanically
need
going
to
on.
get some water, I can take over. I
Yeah.
do have them pulled up here for myself as well.
All right.
I am out of water. But if you want to take this one out, I have to.
Yeah, drink from a tap. Don't worry about it.
No.
The third level of power for Dominate is the Forgetful Mind. When the vampire learns this power, they gain the ability to shape and reshape her victim's memories. She can erase or recreate a memory entirely, but not so thorough or subtle manipulation as opposed to direct. Telepathic alteration of the brain itself is how it functions. You're just staring into their eyes and you're making them believe what you want them to believe.
Yes.
The more thorough the vampire is with the manipulation of the target's mind, the more effective the changed memory will be. For example, you returned home from mass in the company of your wife, did your chores, and retired to bed early is more effective than you went to bed early and saw nothing strange. As an additional benefit, the vampire may also use this ability to discern whether a target's memories have already been altered.
Mm-hmm.
For the actual system roll, it is wits and subterfuge, which are not uncommon things for a Ventrue to have, but less common than the other powers where you tend to be using more manipulation and leadership. So it's a very powerful tool in the Ventrue's arsenal, but not something that they may be able to take full advantage of.
Right.
The actual uses of it are with one success, you can remove a single memory and it lasts as long as 1 day. 2, it permanently removes the memory, but you can't alter, but not alter one. You only affect one memory with this. 3 successes, you can make slight alterations to the subject's memories. It's more fine-tuned at that point. 4 successes allows for you to alter or remove entire scenes from the subject's memory. And 5 successes is to wholly reconstruct a period of the subject's life. You can, with 5 successes, you can just change their childhood.
Okay.
There it is.
I love
Jesus.
this. I don't think I used it once in our
In the games thus far.
game. Yeah.
No, I think you would have had to have. You've used it on Catherine in Las Vegas. That's what stopped her.
that's right.
That's what stopped
Yeah.
her from killing me. You made her forget that she made a deal with the IAA to kill me.
Yes. And there we
That's
go.
right. Yeah.
And you just changed
It
it
is
as like
useful.
your husband was taken from you and, you were looking for him. And then Catherine put the gun down.
Yes. There it is. So behold, you saved a man's life with this power before. And
That's why he didn't remember it. Who cares about saving someone's life?
there it
Right.
is.
Well, I mean, it's Sylvester Shrek. He's a hired gun. That's what he
You're
does.
not put on this world to help people. You're here to kill them.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I know,
Yes.
but Colt was his bro. Come on.
And there's a certain character in our Sunday game that would love to have this power be used on him. Just
Oof.
help me,
Poor
help me,
Paris.
help me forget everything I saw during the events of two weeks ago.
Well, just back up drinking, mate. It helps. Trust me.
There it is. See, you won't let me go.
Lovely
You
voice.
keep trying to make me something I'm not. And see, what is now level 4 is loyalty, right?
Level 4 is conditioning.
So
Loyalty is where is that?
It's 6.
6. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
There's a
that's
lot
the
of
older
rank
powers.
6 gifts. Good lord.
The
Yeah,
level
there's
6.
I think
We'll
you
just
can
read
only
more-
choose one though.
It'll read one
You-
on rank 6. Yeah.
You can be
Now,
taught other ones, but you can when you first gain level 6 in the power, you can only gain that one.
yeah.
There's two Lasombras, memory block and implanted opinion,
Yeah.
and the one Ventrue one is fealty, which is
Which
uh,
is very nice.
but we're
Very
talking about conditioning.
yes.
I did find water, by the way. It was I
Excellent.
have bottled waters upstairs.
See, there it is.
Through the sustained manipulation, the vampire can make the subject more pliant and pliant to the Kidron's will. Over time, the victim becomes increasingly susceptible to the vampire's influence, and while simultaneously growing more resistant to the corrupting efforts of the other kindred. Gaining complete control over a subject's mind is no small task, taking weeks or even months to accomplish. Kidron often fill their retainers' heads with subtle whispers and veiled urges, thereby ensuring these mortals' loyalty. Yeah, vampires must pay the high price for the minds they ensnare. Servants dominated in this way lose much of their passion and individuality. They follow the vampire's orders quite literally, seldom taking initiative or showing any imagination. In the end, such retainers become like automatons or the Walking Dead.
There's you program the sheeple. This is the whole NPC pulling the chip out meme. That's what this is.
It's a very useful power, especially if you have some servants you don't particularly care whether or not they're super effective, as long as they're doing what you say. But if you really don't want to use this on the wrong person, you can break them.
Now, if you have a player who took the amnesia flaw as their background, you now have a gift that can give them exactly that flaw. This is because behold, like for example, with even though it's an Orpheus game, and I don't think Archie is going to do this, Archie doesn't have a character backstory in mind with his Wraith. So I'm thinking, well, why not just take amnesia as a flaw for 2 points? And behold, you don't need to worry about writing the backstory because you don't have a backstory because you don't remember it. As easy as that. And with your vampire game, you can just say, my character had this discipline used on him. He doesn't remember who he was, and boom, there's your plot point. Simple as that.
I got my Ventrue is currently using this power to a secretary in the police department, Chicago Police Department, and the one of the sergeants as well.
There it is. This is the sheer power with this. This is how you set up the long game with your Ventrue.
Using these powers is what caused him to frenzy.
There it is. Because you finally ran out blood points.
Because every time you roll, every time you use a blood point, you get to roll a hunger check.
Yes. Oh, you're using 5th edition?
Yeah.
Damn it.
Oh.
That's the only game in town. All right. Pass your storyteller a copy of V20 when he's done with that game.
Moving on to the system. The player rolls charisma and leadership, difficulty equal to, you guessed it, the target's current willpower points. Once per scene. Conditioning is an extended action for which the storyteller secretly determines the number of successes required. It typically requires between 5 and 10 times the subject's self-control / instinct rating. Targets with more empathetic natures may require a lower number of successes, while those with more willful natures require a higher total. Only through roleplay may a character discern whether the subject is conditioned successfully. That's a really interesting way to determine whether or not something works.
It is.
I kind of like that.
Now,
it encourages more player interaction.
Yeah.
If you don't care about your humanity, if you're not on the path of humanity or you don't care about it, there is a very simple way to make all of your dominate abilities far more effective. If you notice, all of these abilities keep saying the target's current willpower.
Yeah, I know.
There's a very effective way to lower someone's current willpower. Torture them.
Break their
If
spirit.
you torture them, It will lower their willpower.
There it is. It's why the little Somber are trying to outdo the Venture with his power, because they're like doing super extreme shit like that in conjunction with Dominate.
Why
Yeah,
is
but
all
it's
my difficulties 1 and all
yeah.
your difficulties 10?
I
I
Who
don't know.
knows?
See, it's
Who's to
something called
say?
the little Somber go Rolo, the Venture go high. There it is, and we have one more power to go over.
Possession.
This is fantastic.
At this level of Dominate, the force of the Kidron's psyche is such that it can utterly supplant the mind of a mortal subject. Speaking isn't required, but the vampire must capture the victim's gaze. During the psychic struggle, the contestants' eyes are locked on one another. Once the Kidron overwhelms the subject's mind, the vampire moves their conscious into the victim's body and controls it as easily as they use their own. The mortal
Mhm.
falls into a mental figure, or mental fugue. I don't know where I
Yes.
got the I from. While under possession, they are aware of events only in a distorted, dreamlike fashion. In turn, the vampire's mind focuses solely on entirely controlling the mortal subject. Their own body lies in a torpid state, defenseless against any action made toward it. That's where you get your ghouls to protect you.
All right.
Vampires cannot possess one another in this fashion, even the weakest kindred's mind is strong enough to resist such straightforward mental dominance. Only through a blood bond can one vampire control another to this degree. Superficial creatures cannot be possessed in this way, although ghouls that have drunk from the vampire using possession can. The vampire must completely strip away the target's willpower prior to possessing him.
Mhm.
That's the torture angle right there.
It is.
The
You
player,
can, with this power, use your own willpower to batter them down. That is the
yeah,
benefit that you can do with it. It is easier to just torture them first, yes, but um, you could argue that torturing them might be more humane, to be honest.
the player will then spend a willpower point and then roll charisma intimidation, while the subject rolls their willpower in a resisted action, difficulty 7 for each. For each success the vampire obtains over the victim's total, the target loses a point of temporary willpower. Only if the attacker botches can the subject escape their fate. Since this makes the target immune to any further dominant attempts by that vampire for the rest of the story.
Mhm.
Once the target loses all temporary willpower, their mind is open. The vampire rolls manipulation and intimidation, difficulty 7, to determine how fully they assume control of the mortal shell.
Mhm.
Similar to animalism, power, subsume the spirit, multiple successes allow the character to utilize some mental disciplines noted on the chart below. So one success cannot use disciplines, 2 can use aspects and other sensory powers. 3 can also use presence and any other powers of emotional manipulation.
Uh-huh.
4 can use dementation and dominate and other powers of mental manipulation. While 5 can use, oh Jesus, chimeracy, necromancy, thaumaturgy, and other mystical powers.
See how crazy that is?
Yeah, man. Like, here's the thing: you still need your sleep during the day, but
Yeah.
nothing does stop you from just pushing off that sleep as much as you can. Um, taking over a mortal's body, going to your enemy's base during the day, and then start throwing fireballs if you're
True.
a Tremere, or grenades if you're anyone else, I guess.
It's
Take over a mage real quick.
Yeah.
Freya?
There,
Anyone?
there you go.
Ooh.
You gotta
See, you
hope that they.
can take over a mage with this power, but you don't gain access to their
A ret.
powers.
That
Yeah.
sucks.
And
You-
also,
you-
that
you-
would be a lot more difficult and dangerous. I wouldn't recommend.
You gotta hope that they have no points in mind, but you could get rid of all their mage foci. You can say, "Hey, that wand you're using, just
fine.
just throw that wand in the trash. You don't need that wand."
They're called will workers for a reason. They got
Yeah.
a lot of willpower, okay?
Yeah.
Details, semantics.
There it is. You got. It's going to be a long game if you're eventually going to try to possess a mage with that power. And let's see here. And I think that's it with Dominate. We have 2 crazy powers to go over with Kyle.
Yeah.
Yes.
What about the
this-
higher level powers?
The
This
high
is-
level, Kyle, do you want to read a high level power?
and Dominate or Fortitude?
With Dominate.
So with Dominate, what level are we thinking for something crazy?
6.
Oh.
All right, so for one of the 6 ones, I got to avoid one of the ones that are specifically for the Zombra, but let's go with Fealty, which is specifically for the Ventrue. This
Yes.
power allows the Ventrue to sanctify an oath or promise freely given, and even one falsely given, so that the oath giver is incapable of going back on his word or refusing to fulfill his promise. This power will not function if the target was compelled to give the oath, but it will work if the oath giver is tricked into making it. System. The player rolls charisma and politics. The difficulty is the oath giver's current willpower. Shocker. The number of successes determines the duration during which the oath giver is bound. While the effects last, the oath giver must spend a willpower point prior to each action he attempts which violates his promise, and he suffers 1 level of bashing damage during each scene in which he is conscious and yet not actively doing something to fulfill the oath. If the oath was for a specific action, the duration ends once it is accomplished. Success duration could be 1 success, 1 day, 2 is 1 week, 3 a month, 4 a year, and 5 10 years. Quite literally, it will actively harm you if you do not do exactly what the Ventrue is saying.
Yeah.
And quite literally, you have to roll willpower in order to try and not do what he says. And even then, you're still going to get damage out of it. So, like, freaking, you use Fealty on just a regular human. He keeps taking a point of bashing damage every time he actually manages to roll the willpower necessary. Drops dead of a fucking heart attack in the middle of the road. Insane.
Oh, how'd he die? Oh, it's so sad. Oh.
That's
The
Oh, I
MK
didn't know that.
Ultra
This is
got
the
him.
first time you're telling me today. I didn't know that was... But yeah, that's incredible. That is a way you could, like, if you have a particularly stubborn loose end, this would be a way to either do without. Nobody will think the wiser. It's really
there it is.
incredible.
If you have a brutal not doing a thing you say as the prince, you can just use this on them and the problem will solve itself.
Yes. This next one, I'm going to do a short one here. Obedience. While most kindred must deploy Dominate through eye contact, some powerful elders may command loyalty with the slightest brush of a hand. System. The character can employ all Dominate powers through touch instead of eye contact, although eye contact still works. Skin contact is necessary. Simply touching the target's clothing or something she is holding will not suffice. The touch does not have to be maintained for the full time it takes to issue a Dominate command. The repeated attempts to dominate a single target will require the character to touch the subject again. So instead of like having to sit down and stare at somebody to get Dominate to work, you can just like, hi there, Jean Peterson, good to meet you. Shake hand. You're already fucked.
Just need to make contact.
Mm-hmm.
It's as simple as that.
Pat on the just like pat on the shoulder.
Your
Your
mind.
thumb touches his neck.
Yeah.
He's done.
It's
Now there are some higher level powers as well. And
yeah.
I'm not sure how many of them you want to go into, but there is one I would like to go over because it is my favorite Dominate power.
Yes.
go over the one. Do it.
Okay, it is called Still the Mortal Flesh.
That
It is a
sounds
7th level
fucking metal
power.
name, Alden.
Well, I
meaning
wonder
you
what
need to
that
be of-
does.
You need to be of 6th generation or lower in order to even implement this power. The elder vampire can reach with fingers of the mind and ensnare the functions of a victim's body and temporarily disable them, up to and including instantly slaying a victim by forcing their heart to cease beating. Despite its title, this ability may even be extended to other supernatural creatures, making a master of this ability being one to be truly feared. The system is roll manipulation plus medicine, with a difficulty of the victim's current willpower points plus 2. If this would make their willpower exceed 10, the attempt is unfortunately impossible. The effect lasts for 1 turn per success, and the player must determine what bodily function he or she is altering or shutting down before he or she makes this roll. Obviously, different alterations affect targets in a variety of ways. Shutting down a vampire's heart, while it is a momentary inconvenience for them, usually won't get you the results you want, as opposed to using someone who needs that to pump blood will usually result in almost immediate death.
But bear in mind the Silent Strider rank 5 gift or rank 4 gift, Damn the Heart Flood.
Yeah.
You can do that to a vampire as a Ventrue.
There it is. Shuts down a good amount of disciplines, but it doesn't do anything for vicissitude. So your mileage may vary when it comes to some vampire clans.
Yeah.
Uh,
If you're using it on a vampire, you might want to shut something else down, like their eyes
or the
or
brain.
their ears. Yeah.
We shut down
I'm
your
not quite sure.
Go in and shut off the cerebellum, so therefore you lose voluntary control of your muscles. Push you over.
Yes.
See, because you lose control of your large intestine. See what happens.
The
You
vampire probably
shit
not much.
profusely.
Yeah, shit out blood.
That's disgusting.
It's fun to dick around with these powers.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
All right.
The higher level powers, we don't need to go into them. They're just, I can go over them very quickly without going for the full spiel. The level 8 power, one and only, lets you use any dominate power at a distance.
Yeah.
You simply need to know the target you're using on, and then distance ceases to matter.
That's fucking insane.
You don't need eye contact. You can just do it over distance.
And this is global.
Yes, it is. And then the 9th level power is the truly terrifying one. You can use dominate powers on anyone in your bloodline. So
Yeah.
you can do it to your child. You can do it to your child. You can do it to your child's child. You can do it to their child, so on and so forth. Now, if you haven't been very prodigious with your siring, that's not super useful, right? But members of the 4th generation,
Yep. You
have
could get
access to this power.
It's more so, I think, something for, world building, because think about that. Like, if you get, you're sired by somebody like Jan Peterson or Hartstadt, and either one of them decides to issue a directive from on high, you have to fulfill that.
Correct.
It is.
So it's more so for storytelling purposes than it is for, player use, actually.
Yeah, this sets
like
up your
even
plot.
in the Elder game, you're probably not going to be using this.
Yeah.
This is definitely something that your storyteller tells you, like, hey, you feel this very strong urge to work for the glory of Clan Ventrue, and now all of a sudden you're like, yeah, that does sound nice, doesn't it?
Let's see. And do you want to go? I believe that's all the time we really have for Dominate. Let's go for the crazy fortitude and the crazy presence power.
Yeah,
Into Clan Ventrue.
There is a specific type that's outlined in the book called Curse the Laurel. It's fortitude level 7. And I'll describe it as such. Or the book describes it as such. This fearsome power allows the kindred to overcome one of the traditional banes of the undead, the feared stake. With this mastery of fortitude, the Ventrue may subsume a stake that pierces their heart, reshaping that dead organ slowly and insulating it from the offending wood. Once the given stake has been turned away with this power, it remains within the kindred's body and may even be visible beneath layers of clothing. System. The player spends a permanent willpower point and rolls stamina and survival at difficulty 9. The number of successes indicates the length of time that elapsed before the kindred's body rejects the stake, allowing her to rise from immobilization. Each use of this power affects only one stake. If the kindred suffers the same fate again, she may make a new attempt if the player chooses to spend the willpower. If the roll to use the power is a botch, the body does not avail the stake, and no further attempt may be made against a particular stake. You can just fucking... You could just say no to getting staked.
Yeah. Go ahead and rip it out. It's fine.
Yep, just... There we go, done.
See? Oh, you thought you killed me, you idiot? Guess what?
I live, bitch.
Oh my gosh. And pulling this on your players is a really fun trap card in your Hunter games.
Yeah, it is. It's like I like to think of it like that meme of Mo throwing Barney out of his tavern. He's dusting his hands off, and Barney's back in the tavern behind him.
If you're using this ability on a group of hunters, that means they have access to 7th level disciplines. That's not quite, that's not quite fair to them, to be fair.
Yes.
They're in over their heads.
Rule number
Well,
2, double tap.
A group of hunters can fuck up a Methuselah pretty quickly.
Double tap. Always double tap.
Maybe if
Always.
they're prepared.
There's never a time I'm not double tapping.
There it is.
Anyway,
I tap that.
we
All right,
also
let's see what we got
have
next.
presence that doesn't necessarily have a name in this one right here, but I will describe it. It's the mystical force of personality most Ventrue acquire, is the more subtle form of power than dominate. Even in its rawest form, mortals who fall under its sway seldom think anything supernatural is going on at all, nor do they have any evidence to suggest that anything particularly untoward, or I can't really read that, anything particularly untoward has happened. The one problem with President's abilities is that they too often become overwhelming. Sometimes the Ventrue does not wish to scare a mortal into abject terror or cause someone to develop a love-like attachment to them. In these cases, the Ventrue have learned to use more subtle applications of their power. Goodness gracious. System.
You're losing your mind right
At
now.
the storyteller's discretion, the player may spend a willpower point after making a 2 successful presence roll, one that would yield an effect that exceeds the player's desired effect, and negate the extra successes, leaving her exactly enough to generate the intended result. The player may do so only once per scene. Presence is simply doing what it had been developed to do by Kane himself. This isn't so much a discipline itself as much as it is a very, very important modification for it. Jane, thank you very much for joining us. It was great having you.
Thank you for having me. You all have a wonderful rest of your night.
Absolutely.
right.
You do the same.
Hey,
Thank
you
you very
too.
much.
We're out of time.
Have a
Yeah,
good
thank you
one.
for being here.
Okay.
All right.
So,
So-
but yeah, so basically instead of like accidentally overshooting it, like I remember we were playing Rage Across New York, and I did create element for the joke of lighting a cigarette with your finger and accidentally making a flame and accidentally like lighting a giant torch. I mean, yeah, it worked, but even still, this is really incredible letting you modify that.
With some of these disciplines, you see just how crazy the Ventrue can be as boss fights.
Mhm.
And there it is. And now for relationships.
Yes, relationships o'clock. So it's structured really weird in this book. Like they're in all kinds of. No, I dropped Fluffy. I can't drop Fluffy. Fluffy's a good boy.
Because they did a big spiel about the gangrel very early on, and that's because Revise was doing a plot point about the gangrel seceding from the Union, and then it got dropped as they were in the middle of writing that plot point.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the Gangrel were part of the Anarch Revolt, but there was still a lot of Gangrel that were still in the Camarilla, so to speak.
It's because the gangrel's always done their own thing, and it's always been its own thing.
Yeah. But, like,
Yeah.
I do like the idea where, like, the rest of the Gangrel eventually collectively got up and went, like, you know, we got to listen to this. We're just fine out in the woods, you know. We'll hunt our own prey. We'll hide from the werewolves. We'll be fine. We don't even need to worry about it.
Walk like the humans, talk like the humans, be like the animals.
Yeah. Quite frankly, I like it. You can say what you will about it. It's a peaceful life. So, starting off, the Camarilla itself. As we know, the Ventrue are inextricably linked to the Camarilla. They are the stewards of that sect. They lead the other clans. They make sure all the other clans meet their expected standards and bestow their traditions. And it exists for the benefit of all kindred, and they take great pride in their duty as the stewards of the Camarilla. The Gangrel, this plot point was interesting, and I really wish they expanded upon it. They lament the loss of the Gangrel in the Camarilla, or at least the ones that did leave, either to become the Sabbat or most others which joined the Anarch Revolt, or others that just fucked off into the woods and did their own thing. Can relate.
Yes.
A lot of Ventrue are actually torn on whether they want to completely disavow the bloodline to the extent that they do the Giovanni, or if they want to reconcile, try to draw some of the Gangrel back, given, how the other books went. The Gangrel rejoined or at least some of the Gangrel rejoined the Camarilla just so they could get some extra cash in their pocket and have a couple extra Cainites at their back. They need some of them back at least in order to hold off anything that lurks around in the woods, most notably the Garrow themselves. I have a bit of a theory that the Ventrue only keep the Gangrel around because they're scared of the Shadow Lords. They know that the Gangrel are very in tune with nature itself, and the only two factions that could have a hope of standing up to a pack of Shadow Lords are Brujah and Gangrel.
And that would work because the Gangrel have this whole non-aggression pact with the werewolves. It's an unwritten agreement that when you see a Gangrel, you just leave it alone. Just don't bother it. That handsome devil's not bothering anybody.
Yeah, you're right. I'm not. I've got this nice little cabin out in the woods. I go out, I hunt, I bring back food for my wife and my family when Freddy's about. He's not unsure, whatever. I'm not hurting anybody out here.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, God, I love playing Cult. Anyway, and then what they call the Pretenders of the Throne. This is interesting because, they do go into greater detail about the Toreador and the Tremere, but they establish early on that they are the biggest rivals to the rulership of the Ventrue in the Camarilla. They intend to keep close relations with both, as the saying goes, keep your friends close and your enemies closer, and they live by that. The Toreador they see are the larger area of threat because they have a vast swath of influence and numerous contacts, and because of this, they have a much better relationship with most other clans. And because of this, principally, they're going to keep a good working relationship with the Toreador, not only to have that access to all their influence and all their contacts, but, to play them against the Tremere as well. So far, they have no systematic agenda for weakening them except to play them against the Tremere. Now, the Ventrue, they respect the power of the Tremere, but they are very nervous around them. And the Tremere keep trying to make plays for more influence, but they just can't level with the amount of respect that the Ventrue command around the Camarilla because of how long they've been in power. And the Ventrue at this point in time just believe that they have to kind of hold them at bay until they eventually overcome their stigma of how just untrustworthy they are, with not only with each other, but within other Cainites as well. Because as we've said during, I think, the Tremere video, no Tremere trusts another Tremere.
Yeah, nobody likes the Tremere, not even the Tremere likes the Tremere.
We're going to go with the Willy meme again. It was like,
yes.
Tremere and Zamichi are natural enemies, like Tremere and Ventrue, and Tremere and Toreador, and Tremere and Tremere. There's damn Tremere always ruining the Tremere.
The good old pissing contest between Atreus and Goratrix that will never end. You two big babies vying for Tremere's affection and attention.
Yeah, I think it's a waste of time, but I'll let them waste
simped
their
for the
bloody
worst
time.
man in existence.
Yes. Then we go on to the actual list of relationships, starting off with the Brujah. The Brujah are infuriatingly brash when they're neonates, and for Primogen and older, infuriatingly clever. It's hard to tell which one is more infuriating, but they value their strength and their commitment to the Camarilla, despite their ages-old resentments, which make them unpredictable allies at best. Respect the Brujah, but keep them at arm's length at all times. And then
Mm-hmm.
moving on from that, we have the Malkavians. They're insane. Their Auspex allows them to provide valuable support, but keep a sense of irony and patience about you. But without that Auspex, they're not really a threat or an asset, so ignore them when you can. Granted, it's hard to ignore a Malkavian.
Right.
The Nosferatu. They know everything. We've said this multiple times. The Nosferatu know everything.
Mm-hmm.
Their obsessions with information, however, is to an extent pitiable, and they work very well for the sect. They make fine allies when you can find them, because usually they're hiding, but, because that they're also seldom there when you need them. But always have one in your back pocket just in case. If somebody's spreading dirt about you, you want to know where that dirt's coming from, and it's good to have a Nosferatu, because more than likely he knows.
There's a quote in Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines where we're talking to Bertram Tung, and I feel like his opinion on the Nosferatu is true with every Nosferatu when it comes to the Ventrue. Everybody wants to shit on the boss, everybody wants to hate the boss, but you would have no idea what you're doing if the boss wasn't there giving you orders. And you got to give credit where it's due. You got to say that out of everyone to wear the crown, it probably should be you. And if things go wrong, you're at least there to help us out.
Yeah.
So you're assholes, you're pompous. We don't really need to like you, but we'll give credit where it's due when it comes to work you do.
I can't help if they're doing a good job, I mean, people will have their grievances about the Ventrue, about how stuck up they are, but they are meritocratic at the very least. They know what they're doing.
You'll get a promotion. It'll just be very far off in the future.
They'll extend your lifespan long enough for it to the point where it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the Toreador, their closest allies and their closest rivals, and they would make for solid competition with the Ventrue had they not had their head in the clouds all the goddamn time, with their wasteful obsessions about beauty. But even though they do have their obsession with art, with beauty, with culture, they are far from fools, and they are ferocious when they need to be. The best course of action is to keep their goals in line with the rest of the Camarilla, and by extension, the Ventrue. Pretty simple.
There it is. It's simple. Like they say, yeah, you need to come back down to Earth sometimes, Space Cadet, but besides that, no real problems with the Toreador.
I'm honestly surprised that Arthur Gondori wasn't a Toreador with how he acted.
See, because it's the king, and we're making a pun on that.
Okay,
That's why.
Okay, that makes a little bit more sense, but still, he acts closer to a Toreador.
Yes.
The Tremere, they're dangerous, they are secretive, and they lack any sort of dignity. And their devotion to the mystic arts has made them almost pariahs amongst the rest of the Camarilla and Cainites as a whole. But it's better to have them than have them be with the Sabbat, especially after we see all the heinous shit that they did in World War II with the Samichi. Though they aren't as powerful as they like to think that they are. Like, sure, they've got some neat tricks up their sleeve, but, after they run out of Gnosis, or not really Gnosis, after they run out of blood points to cast their sorcery, they're kind of shit out of luck.
That really is the best way to fight a Tremere, is just to ride the storm out the best you can.
Yep, just hold on to your fortitude, let them burn through their blood points trying to hurt you, and then kick his ass. It's
you like Metal Gear Rising Revengeance.
I mean, I haven't played it, but
But you know who Center Armstrong and Jetstream Sam are.
Nanomachines, son.
In the lore, it stated that Jetstream Sam and Armstrong fought, and that's why Sam works for Armstrong. And it's because Sam was trying to get that fight done as soon as possible. If he just waited for Armstrong to run out of mana points, so to speak, he would have won that fight.
Yep.
But he rushed it, and then that's what ended up causing him to lose. You gotta do a war of attrition whenever you fight against a Tremere.
I don't know. I was just going to break his neck, but,
There is. You can't break the neck if it's electrified and it fries you when you touch it.
Fortitude, I can hold on.
Yes.
Anyway, Sabbat. They're just a blanket view of the Sabbat. They are fools. monsters, and traitors to all Cadites. They have no pity for them. The world is no place for the Sabbat. They should be destroyed. Their injudicious, brutal, and grotesque ways are a mockery of Cain's legacy and a threat to all vampires.
Admit that Gehenna's real, you pussy.
Well, no, that would shatter their... Look, think about it. The Ventrue admitted that Gehenna was real. What purpose would they have to maintain a functioning vampire society?
Exactly. You're denying that the existence is here. Like, say, like, yes, the apocalypse will happen, but it's not going to happen tomorrow. Because you see just how poorly equipped the Camarilla are when it comes to the judgment scenario in Times of Judgment Apocalypse, Times of Judgment Gehenna. You caught with the pants down, and you're up against a threat you don't know how to handle.
See, this is why I went to the Amazon and started killing things, because, well, I had to stay sharp. Granted, that's another version of Cult that I haven't made yet, but I wrote about it, and some folks in the server can read it. But anyway, I felt like writing an action hero, and that's what he was originally. But anyway,
yeah.
La Sombra, they have played second fiddle to the Ventrue since the first city. They pick up their scraps, they hide in the shadows and watch humanity from afar. And their influence wanes with every day, and the Ventrue find them as nothing more than a disgrace. Hold them with scorn, derision, and wherever possible, fire.
And they'll say that they say that the Sombra are the true rivals of the Ventrue. I highly disagree with that notion. It's the Giovanni who have given the Ventrue the biggest run for their money.
Yes.
But because the Giovanni had a soft collapse at the between Revised and V20, they're not at the level of power that they can challenge the Ventrue anymore.
Yeah, we'll go.
So I guess it is La Sombra now.
We'll go into detail on that in a minute, but then we have the Zamichi, incomprehensible monsters. They are dangerous if you were to meet one in an alleyway surrounded by other Zamichi, but otherwise usually harmless. They lose any sense of vision in their fascination with the flesh. They don't have a whole lot to say about the Zamichi. They're just creepy. Stay away from them. And then the Independents, the Assamites. They are gifted with a fervent bent for blood and potent abilities, but they waste their unlives with diablerie. The Ventrue believe that they defanged them long ago, but the Assamites have come back with a vengeance. Only trust them when the situation is absolutely dire. And then, what's up?
Is after all that the Shadow Lords are the ones that have been wanting to get their hands on the Assamite for ages and ages, and eventually the Ventrue would placate them with the Treaty Attire, thanks to Tremere, and nowadays, thanks to the Assamites collapsing and becoming almost entirely the Banu Hakim, now you have the Ventrue getting what they wanted, because they've always wanted the Assamites. They've always held the Assamites in some esteem.
Yeah,
because you have no better assassin than the Banu Hakim and the Assamites.
They're the TX from Terminator 3.
Yes. So nowadays, now that we can actually talk with the Banu Hakim, now that sentiment has changed.
Yes.
To where they like him, but at the same time keep your distance because you can just kill me by looking at me.
So if that's the case, then what would that make Luis when he started working with Sylvester? Would that make him an anti-tribute technically?
He is Assamite anti-tribute, yes.
Yeah. He's a rare breed then.
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
There he is.
Yep.
No.
And then Sethites, snake charmers who spread debasement and dependency. The Ventrue have no patience for them. They taint whatever they touch. They're little more than egomaniacs. Were they less diluted, they'd be more of a threat, but if they fuck with you, then beat the hell out of them. Yeah, that's it.
You give no quarties, fucking guys.
No. Fuck the Sethites. The Giovanni, they claim to be the direct rivals of the Ventrue, and they could be if they left their crypts and focused more on what was happening in the present. They have this unbecoming fixation with spirits and ghosts. And it would be funny if it wasn't so grotesque. Just keep an eye on them whenever they show up, and never let them get a foothold in your territory.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
after all, these guys used to be super powerful, as we said in the Giovanni episode.
Yeah, we had the Cappadocian episodes, and then the Giovanni episode directly after that.
Yeah.
Go watch those if you need more information. The Ravnos, they're thieves. They have a mongrel heritage. Their penchant for tricks and vagabond attitude leaves them as less than desirable company. Just push them out to the next city, temper any mistrust of them with any pity, because they've lost any chance that they have after the week of nightmares.
So there we go. So
They're
not very
fucked,
impressive, huh?
No, they don't think much of the Ravnos. Me personally, and Ryan can agree, both me and Ryan love the Ravnos.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. One of the players is playing one.
Oh,
The
sick.
Ravenous, you look at chemistry and boom, that wins you over alone.
They don't use it.
What?
What? Yeah.
What the fuck?
That
I was like, that's so useful.
that
You're
defeats the
sitting on the
purpose of
nuke,
playing
use
a
it.
fucking Ravnos.
You fucking
Insane. I don't know.
go out to get that guy's Discord handle and tell him what the fuck he's doing.
Bro, use your fucking disciplines, for God's sake.
You have the solve situation button in your hand and you're not pressing it.
Maybe that's why. I don't know. I don't know the dude, but like that seems like why. For whatever reason, this book doesn't have anything to say on, or at least I haven't seen anything to say on werewolves, mages, wraiths, any of that.
They're in first edition, and it's the same sentiment. We're too busy dealing with vampire politics to worry about that.
Now I kind of wish that I met Jan Peterson in New York. That would have been interesting.
Yeah, they're not vampires. It's not a problem. Don't worry about it.
So you're going to just ignore the fact that, your faction's collapsing in on itself here, and you've got a rogue antediluvian there in the middle of the city trying to create a blood sacrifice to bring back another antediluvian, right?
Silver Fangs and Ratkin.
Well, yeah, we're going to deal with that.
There you go. It's to throw that in your face. And lastly, let's go spot mix. But we've already talked about how this can work with Werewolf before, with the Shadow Lords especially.
Yes.
Because you've got the perfect step for Shadow Lords with these guys, because after all, the Shadow Lords act like Ventrue in almost every aspect.
I feel like they're sneakier than the Ventrue.
Yeah, they want control.
Well, a good Ventrue can be pretty sneaky.
That's true. We did say, like, you can cause somebody to have a heart attack in midday if they don't do exactly what you say.
Not to mention, Sylvester was also very, stealthy.
Yes, he was.
If you have a Shadow Lord that's super concerned about honor renown, then they'll act like a Ventrue.
Yeah.
But if they're following Crow or Raven, for example, that's out the window.
I like burbs.
Who else is on the list? Silver Fangs. Teach you a thing or two about being a leader.
I mean, yeah, that's true. I feel like that'd just be like just a giant dick measuring contest, though.
Yeah, you want to go around, you want to prove who's the better leader, Hardset the Younger or Jacob Morningkill.
Both of them are. It'd be like kids. You're both just awful.
You're both awful people. Nobody should listen to a thing you say.
No.
The biggest fraud in the world.
But Jacob Morningkill's dead, and fucking Hartstadt the Younger's still fucking alive.
Yeah, his time of reckoning is coming. Don't worry about it.
I hope so. I don't like him.
He's going to get his soon.
Did I urinate on your rug?
I'm the dude. El Duderino, his dudeness, El Dude.
Let me get something straight. Every time a rug is mistreated upon in this fair city, then I have to foot the bill for it.
All right, fuck it, man.
I fucking love the Big Lebowski. Anyway, so
the bums always lose. The Bruja always lose, Lebowski. Yeah, we say we can just come back in with a shotgun and shoot him.
Yeah, that's true.
And who's also a good vampire werewolf? Try to parallel with the Ventrue.
The Glasswalkers, maybe.
Yes, let's see who can get the most money.
I mean, yeah, you have the corporate. That'd be like a weird civil war going on there, because like you could have the corporate wolves siding with the Ventrue, and then the Glasswalker siding with the Giovanni, and that creates like a crosstown rivalry between the two.
Yeah.
And then
yeah. The Cold Wars campaign.
That'd be kind of fucking neat. That'd be a cool session. Like you have half of them that are vampires and half of them that are werewolves, and you have to you have like a clan war between the two of you. That'd be fucking sick.
There it is. It's the zero sum game between the two.
Yep. It ends like the scene, the final scene from Reservoir Dogs.
Who's next? I'm racking my brain about this. I want to say Children of Gaia for some reason that's coming to my mind.
They'd probably like sit down and have a conversation with the Ventrue, but like I feel like the Ventrue wouldn't have a whole lot to talk to them about.
I feel like what I'm thinking about is that the Ventrue would try to exploit them. Because you're into hippie shit. Well, go ahead. Let's see about how we can work around this. We're gonna put you up on a pedestal and make you this big political figure. They'll ultimately make an ass of himself, but it'll manage to draw eyes and draw attention away from what's actually going on. It's Sean's conspiracy theory about Jim Morrison, ultimately.
Wait, like the musician?
Yeah, like Jim Morrison, who's this guy that supposedly got no training in music or songwriting, all of a sudden comes out of the woods and defines the 60s.
I mean, the Ramones did that in the 70s with punk rock. Yeah,
because like Jim Morrison, by the way, is in these World Darkness books as a Cult of Ecstasy member.
I mean, that makes sense, but like, think about it. Jim Morrison, you don't need to have like classical music training to be a good singer. He didn't play any of the instruments. He just found a lot of really talented musicians to be around.
And the ideas came to him from doing drugs.
Basically.
And why do I also want to pair the Ventrue up with the Fianna?
I don't know. I think you're out your fucking mind, man.
Is this whole thing? Well, the Ventrue are the reason why that they don't have Ireland anymore.
So it's a revenge plot then.
There it is. The whole like I spit on your grave kind of revenge plot.
Yep, basically.
You fucking ruined Ireland, and now we're going to come and ruin everything you have.
You know what? I quite like that actually.
Let's see. And there it is. Mage the Ascension. I'm trying to think of any sort of direct connection. Akashic Brotherhood, no. Sister Chorus, you got screwed out of the church. So you try to control the Saint Leopold, but this is more of a hunter connection in that case. Cult of Ecstasy, not really unless you're trying to exploit that. Dreamweavers, no. Euthanatoid, no, unless you're trying to hire them. Order of Hermes,
maybe.
No,
not the Order of Hermes.
Because the Order of Hermes would never admit that someone else is better than them or smarter than them.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
The Verbena, they would want nothing to do with that the minute they found that out. I think the only thing they'd want to really step into would be the Sons of Ether. And it's because the Sons of Ether are saying, oh, we've got this new science experiment. Hello, Ventrue, we'd like to invest money into into
doing science.
Yeah, okay, well, what's the project? And behold, you get the Ventrue money to back this whole project, and then the Ventrue see if they can use this to their advantage.
Basically, yeah.
I suppose you could do the same with the Virtual Adepts.
Yeah, you could. I don't know. I don't know. It depends on the year.
And then the Technocracy. Well, the Technocracy is controlling the Ventrue by a bunch of puppet strings. You don't realize you're being controlled by a bigger fish out there. Iteration X, New World Order especially.
Especially the New World Order.
Queen Victoria sold you out. She made a deal with the Order of Reason and gave the win button over to Technocracy.
Well, that wasn't very smart of you, now, was it?
See, Changeling the Dreaming, they would have nothing to do with because the Ventrue by nature are just too banal for a Changeling to be around.
Yep, they don't care about dreams. They want to care about vampires.
Yeah, just you're too focused on the material and the practical to be whimsical.
Yeah, little whimsy never hurt nobody. I quite like it.
See, I wish Enejaner was still in the call for this part. Demon Fallen. Okay. Earthbound, no. Ravners, absolutely not. The Ravners believe in the exact opposite of what the Ventrue want. The Ventrue want to build up the world. The Ravners want to tear it down.
Yep.
Because it's not the world that they built.
No. The
Eh.
Luciferians, however, absolutely. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
you want to help humanity? Sure, fuck it.
Yeah, they see Lucifer the same way that the Ventrue see Cain. If you're talking about the older Ventrue,
Yes.
that eventually this genius should come back and help us get on the straight and narrow.
Yep. Or you could have a Faustian claiming to be Lucifer and saying, hey, I see you're trying to help out Alkanites and also get humanity under your wing. I might be able to help you with that.
See, and what am I thinking about?
And they think that they think that they're outsmarting them because the Ventrue think that they're so much smarter than this fucking demon.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the demon's
that's
like,
arrogance right there.
oh, I'm gonna rob them for everything they got.
See, the reconcilers can care a little bit too much about their god for them to be useful. And the cryptics, if the Ventrue catch on to an idea that they can use to benefit society, then they would make a pact with the cryptics. Guess what? Cut me off. And then Hunter the Reckoning, name any sort of like modern day postmodern and corporate capitalist, fight the corporation, fight the rich man bullshit going on. You all play the Dustborn World of Darkness game. Well, there's your villain, the Ventrue.
Yep.
And I'm realizing we're forgetting one more crucial detail: the clan weakness.
What would that be?
Yeah, we'll close up on the clan weakness. So a Ventrue can get blood from anything that they feed off of, but they can't get blood points from it. You can only get blood points as a Ventrue if you feed off of a very specific kind of person.
Yeah, we mentioned this a little bit earlier in the video where...
But we didn't really like elaborate on it.
No.
It's because it boiled down to Ventrue with his hoarding, how he had a taste for the finer things in life. You have a type that you will always go for. Like for Jan Peterzoon, it was rape victims. For the Ventrue that you played as the one-shot, it was boys who were younger than 13.
Yeah, that was fucking terrible. I'm really glad that was a one-shot. I would have hated to fucking do that.
Well, here's what you do. You just run a blood drive in elementary school.
That's true as well. But then I would have had to have been a bagger, and I don't think that was my feed type.
Yeah, you get very few returns on it.
Williams had to be high cholesterol. Because he had two for some reason.
Oh my god!
Find somebody who's
high
cholesterol,
and it needed to be cold.
Oh man! So basically, you would have had to go for like a recently deceased burger man, and that drastically increases the chances of you getting baned.
Yeah, either that or like blood drives.
Yeah, got put on the rocks too.
No, so his preference, he wanted it carbonated. So that was his third one that he had by choice.
That's
kind of funny. So basically, it's just like blood soft drinks, it's blood soda.
It's got to be something specific like that, because if it's a sex, it's got to also have like an age or race attached to it too. Or you could say your character's feeding type is pregnant women or men with erectile dysfunction, or say like men who are specifically 6 feet tall and 200 pounds, something like that.
Jeremy King is your feeding type.
Exactly that kind of stuff. And what you want to do as a Ventrue when you feed, you want to add as many variables as possible onto your feeding type. I remember hearing about a Ventrue character that would only ever feed in the back of a limousine, and people started thinking that was his feeding type. And you want to do that because if a enemy vampire knows how you feed, they can deprive you of that specific source and therefore sap you of their blood points.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's kind of a neat strategy, though. I like that.
Yeah, which you don't want coming out.
No.
That's why, that's always why I want to do like a dice roll whenever I do Ventrue characters. Like, have your feeding type be entirely random. Don't pick for yourself what it is. Have that be something that gets decided for you.
Yes.
Let's see. And do you have any closing thoughts with the Ventrue?
I don't remember what the name of the Ventrue I played was, but I kind of wish I had more time to play. Or if we do a fucking game set like in the 50s, I like your earlier idea of a sheriff Ventrue.
Yeah. And there it is. We have a jokester to finish the episode.
Hello.
Yep.
So I got a little bit of a dilemma, you see. I work the night shift. Duh, of
Uh-huh.
course.
We're still recording, by the way.
I know.
It's
Yeah.
the joke.
Yeah. So, oh boy, how do I keep this PG as best as I can?
Yep.
Well, there's some. So, at the night shift, there's the manager and assistant manager, and just one night, just out of shits and giggles, I used Auspex, right? And it turned out the manager and the assistant manager were both Ventrue. I was like, oh, nah. I was like, wait, that actually makes sense. And then I kind of snuck around, and I saw, wow, they both have 20 credit cards in each of their wallets. And when I was eavesdropping them, turns out that they were husband and wife long before the embrace. So I was literally indirectly witnessing a love story. Better than Twilight, I know that much. But basically, I feel really funny when I'm around them now, and I cannot explain it. Both of them. I feel really funny, and I think I'm developing a new derangement, but I do not know what it is.
I think it's
There it
called
is.
bisexuality, mate.
Oh, wait, what is it?
When you're attracted to men and women, just like my son is, it's bisexuality.
Oh, maybe I should ask Freddy for advice if that's the case.
No. No, no,
You stay away from my son, Malk.
absolutely not.
Well,
There we go.
all right. I mean, my intentions are innocent. I'm just trying to figure out what the heck this is.
Just try both and see whichever one you like better.
Okay. So in other words, I should ask out for a date for both of them at the same exact time.
No, spread it out a bit.
Spread it out a bit. What do you mean by that? Metaphorically or literally?
I mean, give it a few days between dates. Give yourself some time to analyze.
All right.
There you are.
So take it nice and slow, like foreplay.
Basically, yes.
Unfortunately, I suck at doing foreplay. No pun intended.
Doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is that you're trying. It's better than most people.
All right.
Anyway, I think that about tears it for this night's episode then.
Yeah, pretty much.
There we go.
All right.
So that concludes it with the Ventrue.
Yes. Play the Ventrue. They're fun.
The Ventrue, masters of facts and logic. The Ventrue.
And credit cards.
What if I was embraced into Clan Ventrue? What would happen?
Damn it. All right.
You'll be more Jewish than me.
Let's say hypothetically there was somebody more Jewish than me.
Well, yeah,
Bro.
fucking Kanye West, Nick Fuentes on that podcast.
I was playing fucking
my
modded
God.
Skyrim with my roommate one time, and we found like the Tome of Nordic Heritage, and I read it like Ben Shapiro. It was fucking amazing.
Oh God.
The Ben Shapiro vampire.
It's fucking funny as shit.
If you
All right.
want all your players to leave your game in one session, get the Ben Shapiro vampire out.
Oh my god.
My fucking God. My God.
Oh man.
There it is.
All right. Anyway, good
There we
night,
go.
everybody.
Have a good night,
GM.
guys.
Au revoir.